Bow, 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 bow. Stop complaining about being like this is gold. Amen. Pop raw. What's going on, guys? I think we're here. I think we're live, brand new Poker Live podcast. My name's Joe Ingram, aka Chicago Joe, coming here, GTO headquarters, Las Vegas, Nevada. Let me know if we're out there on Twitch and we're on YouTube. Guys, joining me today, we're back with Poker Live podcast. It's a young man who very excited to talk with because I've been seeing this guy doing a lot of really great things in the poker community, in the content community, in the coaching community. And I've been watching some of his stuff. I watched one of his videos about some ideas he had for the poker industry in terms of actually making things better, growing the game, highlighting the best players, bringing back excitement to poker in a lot of different ways. And I was like, wait, what's this guy talking about? Like, I don't hear guys talk like this very often because this is the kind of way I talk about things. I'm trying to come up with leaderboards. I'm trying to come up with point systems. I'm trying to come up with ways that we can highlight some of the great things that are happening in this community. But it seems like most people out there really only care about, shilling for whatever site they work for and whatever. It is what it is. I don't want to, knock on that. But I saw the passion. I saw the excitement. I learned more about the guy going through his Instagram page, checking out the business, talking with other people who have experience. And, I'm pretty excited to get to know more about this guy, man. We're going to talk a lot about the Galfond Challenge. We're going to talk about working with all the students out there. We're going to talk about the time that he met Gary Vaynerchuk, where if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, you guys know this guy's one of the guys that he's a very hardworking, hustling kind of guy. And we're going to talk about all other types of things as well, too. I'm in my tank top for today's podcast. Welcome BenCB from Razor Edge to the show. What's up, Ben? How's it going, man? Nice to meet you because I've never actually spoke to you before. This is the first time by voice that we're speaking together.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited, of course. Greetings from Vienna, and yeah, it's an honor to be here on the podcast and share and talk about the game we love so much. We're looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched one of your first videos, I actually left a pretty long comment on there because you were talking about, what are some ways that we can build the game, or what are some ways that we can promote the game, or what are some ways that we can highlight these things, and I really felt where you were coming from with these ideas because this is how I felt for a long time. But then when you start dealing with these companies and when you start seeing the structures that the companies have and when you start meeting the people who will make these decisions, you start to realize why the game is currently in the place that it's in, because a lot of these people don't necessarily care anymore for whatever reason, whether they're not incentivized to care, or the power structures aren't in their favor, or the opportunity isn't there for them to really even, the motivation's lost with a lot of people in the industry. So I feel like we actually need people that are still coming up who bring the ideas to the table, who are confident enough to say, okay, here's where I see things from. Here's what I'm thinking we could try, and then actually able to put these into place. And it's a very tough task to do, especially when somebody's playing a lot of poker. So, yeah, it's kind of rare to see that coming from somebody out there. So, it's something that really, really stuck with my mind when I was thinking about getting back on the podcast grind here and having some people on. You were definitely one of the first people I wanted to have on, and first people I sent a message to.
I agree with you. I think the main problem we have currently is that there are just too many different companies, too many different tournaments. It's not really prestigious anymore to win a big tournament, apart from the most ones like WSOP. But if you win an EPT tournament, you have WPT, EPT, WSOP. You have then the same in Brazil, and then you have Eastern European tournament. Like, there's so many stops and tours that I don't even follow it anymore. I used to follow it and always look at, try to find out who was winning certain tournaments, but it's not prestigious anymore. And as we have it in football, or in, you would call it soccer, you have one game every week, you have 1 or 2 or 3 championships every year, and it's super exciting. It's something prestigious, something you work your ass off. And I think this is something similar we need in poker as well. And a leaderboard system, more transparency is a necessity in order to assess who are the best. I mean, of course, there are some obstacles in order to get there because you can't really determine 100% who are the best. But I think there are some measurements, or there are certain factors we can use in order to determine who are the best and who would be eligible in order to compete in big tournaments or in a big tournament series throughout the year. But do you feel excited about someone winning an EPT tournament, or is it interesting for you?
Right. This is a huge thing I talk about and I think about privately. I've been brainstorming this for a lot. By the way, I didn't give a quick. Let me just give a quick intro on Ben for people that might not know much about Ben. Ben is a longtime tournament player. He was one of the top sit and go players online for a bunch of years, and then started playing more of the multi-table tournaments. And I think most known for winning that. I think I may have actually streamed this event back in, I think it was 2016, where Fedor, now Mr. Passion. Listen, if you've been following Fedor online, you know this guy's got so much passion running through his body. He is the Passion King. Fedor Holst out to Fedor. I followed my passion the other day to the win. I was there till 6 a.m. and the next day I needed more passion from Fedor. I was fiending for that fucking passion, Fedor. I need it 24 hours a day, brother. But this guy, Ben, he got first place in this 100K that they had back in 2016. And that was kind of the first time I personally kind of saw the name, okay? And then since that time, just kind of having more success in tournaments, establishing yourself as one of the top online tournament players, and then establishing yourself as one of the top online coaches. And debatably, one of the top coaching sites right now out there, if you listen to some of the comments out there too. So I feel like that is a pretty good kind of put it in 20, 30 seconds. And what else would you add in there for people out there if you're trying to describe yourself, or if someone asks? And I guess there was the thing where you remained anonymous and you were this like shadowy figure for a bunch of years too, and you just had this big face reveal. I think it was maybe last year, right?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was always more important about the content, what the actions that someone is showing instead of what someone is showing. And it was also some sort of challenge for me to prove myself and also to prove to others that it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter how you look like, or it doesn't matter what equipment you need, because people always have the excuses. Yeah, I don't have this fancy cam, I don't look good enough, I'm too tall, I can't make content. Like, people didn't even know how I look like, you know. And
too
and
tall.
As you remember, or too small. No, I meant too small.
I'm too tall. I can't make this video. I mean, like I've heard it before. I think Jay Nandes maybe said that for a long time, and then he decided to make content, and then that's a whole other story for another time. But yes, I completely understand what you're saying. I agree, and you know,
and for me, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Like, people say, okay, who is this guy? And I was like, doesn't matter. Like, listen to what I have to say. Like, if the content is valuable to you or not, that's the only metric that should be important to you. And we are too much focused on the lookalikes and the filters that everyone is putting on social media. You know, everything has to look pretty and beauty. But that wasn't important to me. And I understood, I knew that it doesn't make a difference in the way I'm sharing my content. At some point, I got a lot of opportunities to work with people, interesting projects, and it was only possible by revealing myself. So that's where the benefits of revealing myself outperform the disadvantages of staying hidden.
Yeah, I think just nowadays, as we get into this 2020, 2021, 2022, the connection that people want to feel to the people they're listening to is bigger than ever, because it's become a standard thing to know who you're talking to, what they look like, and I think that visual connection that people experience is something that they're after. And when they look at the options that are out there, it's one thing to hear the person, but it's another thing to actually know what the person looks like, to put a face to that name. So I can understand the desire for people out there to want. I think, you know, it's a good example is that there's one of the guys that makes YouTube content out there where he goes through the solver and then he tells you what the solver does in all these situations. And I can't really see the guy. So in a way, I think he's putting up good information, but I'd like to see who he is. I'd like to know I'd like to know what his poker background is. Like, I'd like to know more about the guy. So I'm sure a lot of people out there were kind of the same way with you, where they wanted to know the face to the name. Is this guy like BenCB? Shout out to BenCB. Is this guy a bot in the European dungeon? Like, what's the story on this guy? So it makes sense why people would have been curious about you and want to get the face to the name, though. It makes sense.
Our event in Vienna was a big game changer for me when it came to that, because then that was the first time I was working really one-to-one with people. We had people joining us from all over the world, Argentina. We had one guy flying in on Friday for like 20 hours, leaving on Sunday for literally just staying 15 hours. And I realized how how incredible, how wonderful it is to also work with people in real life. And then I realized, okay, actually it means a lot to those people also to see who I am. One guy was a friend of Danny Tang. He came to the event. He said, well, Ben, I really hope that you're not having a bag on your head. Like I was really afraid you're going to be running around with a bag on your head on this event. So I'm really happy to finally see you, because for them, it was the first time they saw me. Like I only revealed myself on this event. And I also told them I would appreciate if you not take any photos or upload on Instagram. And everyone obeyed to this rule, and I really appreciated that. But afterwards, the weeks after, I realized, fuck yeah, it was actually pretty amazing. I would repeat doing those events and boot camps, and but this would only be possible if I reveal myself.
No, that makes a lot of sense, man. I want to give a shout out to my man Moonlight Master in my Twitch chat. Moonlight Master been posting the highlights from the Galfond challenge that's currently postponed, and he's been doing a pretty good job. I had a long conversation with him the other night about 3 a.m. and just got to know him a little bit more. So I want to give him a big shout out as well. He's been doing great work, kind of highlighting the Galfond challenge out there. And I want to get back to the what we were talking about before, which is about, you know, and we talked about how there's so many tournaments and how nothing really stands out, nothing's really celebrated. That's one big thing I've been noticing this past year, is that we don't, as the community, really celebrate anything anymore, right? It's like if someone wins, no one gives a fuck. We move on to the next thing. It's only something negative happens, right? Someone angle shoots, someone takes some money, someone might be looking at their dick on a live stream, right? That's really the only times people kind of come together as a community to really, I guess, celebrate anything. And I don't know if this is because of the marketing that's been done by the community themselves, or what exactly it is in terms of marketing by the community, they're marketing by the media, they're marketing by the actual people that are putting on these events. But it is quite weird that like no one seems to care when anybody wins anything or who wins. Like it's just on to the next one. And I don't necessarily know how we change that, because it takes this sort of like community-wide effort to say, hey, we're going to recognize winners. But then also some people like look down on that because, oh, it's only luck, let's not celebrate, move on to the next one, keep a level head. So yeah, I don't really know the specific immediate solution that we can do as a community to be able to potentially remedy that situation.
I think there are a couple of different reasons. One reason I believe could be a reason. This might be quite polarizing, but I think too much money might be involved. That too many poker players are too rich. They simply don't care. In order to establish such a system, you need to have the best players also taking initiative, taking action, trying to act as role models in order to, make a change. Mm-hmm. But dude, if you make millions of millions in these super high rollers or in these super high cash games, do you really care? Like, what's the incentive? Like, right. you have accomplished everything that you can accomplish. So we need a third party that sees a marketing opportunity in order to add extra benefits, an extra prize pool. So let's say you have $10,000 tournaments, you only pay $5,000, 50% of the buy-in, 50% is going to be sponsored, but you have to qualify either through a leaderboard system or a qualification system. This leaderboard system, you have to opt in order to reveal your real winnings. So we need a tracking platform that tracks, like Handemop, also tracking the buy-ins, all re-entries, so we can clearly determine who are the biggest winners. And then let's say 2020, the top 20 players are eligible to participate in 2021's worldwide tournament series or whatever, global championship, whatever you want to call it, or top 50 or whatever. And you can also add some weights. So let's say, you also want to add some legends, because I doubt that the old school players might have similar ROIs as the high stakes crushers, online crushers, live crushers that study a lot with GTO solvers. So you also want to give some sort of benefits for or design it in a way where you also invite older players, but count the more recent winnings and profits, count them as more important as, let's say, someone that was winning a lot in 2015. So you have to, implement a system that considers the recent success more important as success 5 years ago. Come up with some weights in order to weight the winnings in 2019, 2018 more important or than in 2015. And then come up with a leaderboard, and then it clearly says, okay, Stephen Chitwick number 1, Eric Seidel number 4, and so on and so forth. And then you have like a real leaderboard, and this changes every year. And then depending where you are ranked, top 50 players will be qualified for the PGS, and maybe then 50 to 70, 70th are qualified for some sort of qualification tournament where also the top 10 can qualify, and you can have some. You can also then online qualifier for these events. So if you're unknown, maybe you don't have the bankroll to play these tournaments, but you think you're as good as the others. So you can go through some open qualification stages online, right? So you make it also appealing to newcomers, right? And then we get into a direction where we have more transparency in the entire system, and we see competing the best against the best. I mean, you see it in esports, and I made the poll on Twitter where what people would like to see more: playing for millions, where you have 8 recreationals, or playing the best against the best. For example, the top 5 online players against the top 5 live players, but you only have 100,000 for first, and it was 85% and more for the latter option. So I think that's why esports is going so well. We sometimes have 2 times, 3 times, 4 times more viewers than in esports for not even a fraction of the prize pool. If I look at PUBG, just practicing games, they have 1,000, 2,000 viewers. Like, we're just teams practice. I mean, that's insane, because people want to see, there doesn't need to be prize pool involved. They just want to see the best playing against the best. So the prize pool doesn't need to be a lot. It's not that the companies or the third party, whoever it is, has to contribute a lot of money. But the marketing is big. That's where they
You're explaining why this doesn't exist with what you just said, because there's so many moving parts of what you just explained, and I used to think this exact same thing, man. This is what I used to say, like, why is it set up like this, right? Why doesn't something like this exist? Why aren't the best players celebrated? I always wanted to be one of the top at what I do. Like, when I make content now, I want to be one of the best content creators in the entire world. I want to try to become as good as I can at what I do. I study all the time. I'm always trying to get better. But it's not something that's commonly shared. I'm starting to realize around the community and around the world in general. And what you're describing is a great thing, but there's so many moving parts, and there have to be so many people involved that actually really care about it. And unfortunately, those people, that I don't know them in poker. And I've met a lot of people in poker, and there are certainly some trailblazers who are trying to make things happen, but people don't really understand marketing. They don't understand how to set up tournament leaderboards. They don't understand the game of poker itself. And then you mentioned the esports thing as well, too, in terms of PUBG and the other games. A lot of people watch those things, and I think they watch those is because the actual people themselves build up their own communities, and then they come together as a collaboration, and then they all play together, and then you have these combinations of teams and all these esports teams. So you have each person has their individual audience. They all come together. The team has their audience as well, too, and then those people build their own content and are promoting themselves on the various platforms. Whereas in poker, the only people that are known in poker right now are the people who choose to promote themselves. And typically the best players are traveling around the world and working at their game and stressed the fuck out that they don't take the time to promote themselves. And that's where the actual media has to come into place to consistently do that. But right now, the media is bought and paid for by various poker sites, and the people that are in charge of the media companies aren't very good at what they do in terms of getting attention on what they do. And you notice that because when media creates things, no one gives a fuck. No one watches it. No one reads it, even if it's pretty high quality. And that's because the poker media, since they were started, like, they put up enough stuff that you don't care about, enough generic stuff that you just stop paying attention to it. And that's sort of what's happened with the media. And then you end up in a situation where there's about 10 guys in the whole entire industry who can get anybody to pay attention to what they're doing. So there's all these different things that kind of come into play in terms of why we can't really have something like that set up. And it sounds like to me the best way to get this set up is for you to set something up yourself in that way. And once you start to realize that, and you're like, well, damn, how am I going to do that? I want to be a top poker player. I got students. I'm running a business. I'm doing all these different things. How can I possibly take on this other responsibility of then coordinating these people from all around the world, working with the poker sites themselves, working with people who can help me out in all these areas? And it's certainly possible, but you have to really, 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 really want to do it. You have to really, really see the value of wanting to do it. And there's only a certain number of people who really have that type of desire to put themselves out there to take a risk like that. And there really isn't much financial incentive immediately for an idea like this. So you start to see why something like this doesn't exist, because it sounds great. And I've thought about maybe putting together some sort of tournament where I find a sponsor, and like a cash game event mainly, because I'm a cash game guy. So what if I found sponsor where I say I could pay each guy $5,000? So we got a 6-hand game, 6 very well-known poker players, a huge event. I promote it for a month. I promote it afterwards for a month. We get the players to play. It's a free roll. They put up their own money. So I think that's a very possible solution or a very possible idea. But then how can you consistently do events like that is another challenge on itself. So I love the idea. It's just, okay, then how can we realistically make this happen? And it takes a lot of steps, but definitely possible.
A lot of regulation issues as well in each country, right? So, of course, esports and other sports, take any traditional sport like football or baseball, whatever, you don't have such regulation issues. So it's a bigger obstacle for sure. That we also need to take into consideration. And I'm not saying it's easy. Like, it's definitely a huge challenge. And I'm not saying that poker can not grow without having a leaderboard system, without having the ideas we just discussed. I think there's still a lot of potential for sure. But there's so much more, like so much more potential to make it so much more accessible to a wider audience. So that eventually, maybe one day, the family watches some poker games Sunday afternoon in television because it's so popular. But in order to get there, it definitely takes some steps. And as you said, it starts with a few tournaments, maybe just a cash game. So people see, third parties see the opportunities, like, wow, this has a lot of viewers. And then step by step, you slowly start building up. I mean, this is like a 10-year project, I would say.
Yeah, I think
5 to 10 years.
Like Vinny Barbosa says that he says in Brazil, right, they're a lot more together. And I think that's one big thing I've been starting to notice, is that there really isn't much collaboration in general in the industry, because everyone's competing with each other, whether they have competing training sites, whether they have competing sponsorships, whether they're friends with certain people and that person doesn't like this person, so they don't want to work together. And I think poker is just such a selfish type of game in terms of the way our mindsets work in terms of getting better, that it can be very challenging to say, okay, now I want to start collaborating with people and working together with other people in the industry. So there's a lot of challenges in place that the industry has in general in terms of working together with each other, that I think once we start to see more of that, then we'll start to see people come up with some ideas and be able to actually implement those ideas, because it's not just one person taking the charge and trying to do it all themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, man. I feel like this kind of stuff is realistic to happen. But in terms of the future of poker, of online, it seems like we're shifting now. And we got Rob Young trying to do a lot of different things. We got Phil Galfond with the Galfond Challenge trying to build this site. We got Poker Stars. Every single day that goes by, Poker Stars is becoming more and more of a casino and sports book and casino style poker game operator versus someone who's trying to provide a product for poker players to be able to make a living and play the actual game of poker they came to know and love. So I don't really know what happens from here or where things go, but it doesn't seem like there's much support or much excitement. And it seems like a lot of people are just really trying to hold on to what they have at this point in time versus trying to build new opportunity for themselves.
Yeah, I have to agree, unfortunately, with you on that point. I think that what PokerStars is lately doing is a little bit concerning, especially with the guarantees. I also didn't understand why they were killing the high stakes cash games. I mean, that was always awesome to rail the high stakes action. That's something that I couldn't understand. Certainly has something to do with cutting out expenses. Definitely love the efforts of Rob Young, of Phil Galfond, trying to push other poker sites, trying to close the gap between them and the Monopoly, PokerStars, and however, also party poker with their software. It's something I don't understand. Is like it crashes so much. It's still, from my point of view, still so far behind compared to the PokerStars software. Then the changes they made with implementing a no HUD system and then abandoning the opportunity to download hand histories, which I couldn't understand because you couldn't analyze your game for a month on party poker. And then always claiming we support the pros, we also want to make it easier for them, and then you literally couldn't analyze your game for like months. And you couldn't do reviews on party poker. And just these small things, they add up and crashing the software constantly. And I also would like to support it more. I mean, luckily I can say whatever I want. I don't have a sponsorship with anyone, so I really try to say what I think is best for poker, what is best for the community. But I cannot just go ahead and say PokerStars is doing everything right and everyone else is doing everything right. If you look at 888 with their fucked up terms and conditions and clearing their deposits and bonuses, it's almost a scam, right? And then you see the bots on America's Card Room. So it's not like that we can blame PokerStars and everyone else is doing everything right. I mean, you have to keep in mind, if PokerStars is so bad for so many years and doing so many things wrong, but why is not someone else catching up? Because everyone else is actually doing it worse. I mean, Now Party Poker is putting in a lot of effort, and you can see it with the tournament traffic. They are catching up, and I love to see it. But there's unfortunately a lot of buts.
Yeah.
And as long as they can't fix it, it's going to be hard. It's going to be incredibly hard. I really like what Natural 8 and GG Poker are doing, also pushing the tournaments and guarantees, implementing high stakes tournaments. Yeah, but still, it's a long way, and just having a good customer support, treating your customers well, having a good rakeback system, having good guarantees, having reasonable structures, listening to their users, and then just doing shit, man. Just
Ben, you're at a point I was at about 2 years ago, brother. Okay, when I made my first ACR investigation videos, I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on here, man? Because I've been one of the most vocal supporters of online poker and poker in general for the past 5 or 6 years in terms of my content. I think most people would say I'm one of the most people that's excited about poker, that's passionate about poker, that loves the game, that cares about the community, that loves the community, that just loves what the game has to offer in terms of a mental skill and a challenge for your mind and a challenge against others and the opportunity it can give you for your life to really make something out of your life. And when you take a look around and you say, man, but the positives are that on like live poker in America's popping, man. The tournaments are popping. It seems like there's a new tournament series happening around the world all the time right now. So if you're a live poker player, I feel like there's so much opportunity for cash games and for the tournaments, especially for tournaments. So, there's some definitely, it's not quite as good as it could be in online. And I think when you look at other esports, you look at Fortnite and you go, oh my God, can't we just hire the Fortnite guy to come in here and maybe bring some fucking ideas to the table, right? But it's not possible right now. So it is what it is. And I guess we try to make the best of it. We try to have an impact that we can. But I really think it comes down to guys like you, guys like me, guys like Phil Galfond, people that have the know-how, that have the work ethic, that have the passion, that have the energy, that have the effort to care, and that see it as this is something worth, I guess, fighting for in a way. Because I think you can only really know that if you came up through the game itself. And we've seen a lot of our smartest minds and a lot of our people who could potentially have that impact. We've seen them either unable to make a big difference, they don't know how to do it, or they just don't care and they go to something else. So if we can find a way to maybe bring the people together that actually do care, which I do think there are some of those people out there that really do want to make a difference and that are very smart people. I think if we can bring those guys together, guys like you, guys like myself, we got my man Berkey up there. I think we got a lot of smart guys in the community. It's just a way of connecting those people and then actually making something happen, which I think is very, very possible. And I think we can definitely do something like that. And then, as you said, you put on one event, you give an example, you show people what it's like. And then from there, the other people are like, oh, yeah, that's a good fucking idea. And especially if you know how to get attention for what you do, which is something that I know very, very well, then I really think we can bring back some special moments in poker. And I really think that's what my personal plan is that I'm going to put on some events of some kind. I'm going to hype them up, and I'm going to help show what's possible out there, because I really do believe that we can create some fun moments in some ways where it doesn't need to be where there's no celebration. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing this year.
Listen, I have to say it might come across as very negative, but I also have to say, because I read all the messages about people, hating the online poker sites, hating how rigged it is. I think there's still a great opportunity. You can still make a living out of it. I mean, if you look at low stakes, yes, the rake is getting higher, the rake is decreasing, but they're still beatable. You can still make a decent side income with online poker.
Right.
And do your research, which games are beatable in terms of the rake. There were clearly some formats that were not really that beatable, but there's no point in hating it. If you think it's rigged, then simply don't play. Just don't spend your time on online poker. It makes no sense. So I'm not a supporter of this random hate and random trolling, and then just get the fuck out of here. It's like we should be grateful for the opportunity that we're giving. PokerStars doesn't owe us anything. If we think we can make some money out of it, we play. If you don't think you can make money out of it, then just go look for something else. And I really like your idea, and I want to emphasize on why, for example, just trying one tournament. You set up one cash game, you see how it goes. I see a lot of similarities as we do in esports. I mean, there was a reason why we also went into esports, because I see a lot of potential bringing more players from esports into poker, because they have a similar background. You have a lot of professional poker players that have an esports background. I have discovered a lot of esports pro having a poker background, and we could benefit from each other. And there's some very, the synergy effects are pretty high. And we're also looking for a main sponsor. And you cannot just go ahead and talk about your great ideas like we do about the leaderboards and say, we have this vision, sponsor us some money, and we're going to make it happen. So it's very hard to find a main sponsor that sponsors your esports endeavors. So you just have to go there, grind your way up, put out content, scout good teams, work with a very little budget, somehow maybe get lucky, have one team that gets big, or with your content, you keep growing, and then you attract the sponsors. Right. But at the beginning, you cannot just go ahead with your idea. People give a fuck about your idea. So first, you have to convince them with your actions. And I think this is also something I see too often. Like, people message me with their great ideas and all their visions. And I can understand why now, just because we talk about it, the CEO of Coca-Cola is not going to message us, hey, yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's go fucking do it. So I think taking baby steps and proving the people that we're also capable of, that we're action takers, then you have a chance, but it's a grind. It's just you proving your point by action.
Somebody said BenCB for president and Joey for the gambling minister. Now, all right, fuck it. You know what? Listen, I'll take on the gambling minister role for about 4 years. I got a 4-year stint in me, man. And I don't know, man. I like where we're going with this. We'll we'll go on to some other topics I think will be a little more helpful for people in terms of getting better at the mindset, getting better at poker, kind of discussing that whole world of things too. And I kind of want to get your opinion on the Galfond challenge. So Galfond challenge, if you guys didn't know, I put out a bunch of videos. Put up a video yesterday where Phil has suspended play about time, debatably, but he's down 900,000, guys. It ain't going good. I might be getting BenCB on the podcast. We're waiting for that. You're just waiting for that text back here from BenCB to see if we're going to be officially doing the podcast or not together. We're going to know more about him. So Phil Galfond, guys, 15 days in, 10,000 hands played, 25,000 hand challenge, and it's not going good for our guy. He's down $900,000 at 200, 400, and I'm going to let you know that's a lot of money, and he's getting fucking destroyed by BenCB. BenCB's more of the online-based player, has been playing in the trenches day in, day out for maybe the past 5 to 10 years, 5 to 7 or 8 years, I believe. Phil Galfond started a business, got married, lives in America, isn't able to battle the best players on PokerStars. on a regular basis. People thought into the challenge Phil Galfond would be able to compete. I thought he was going to do more studying. Once I found out he didn't study as much, which I found out quickly, I was like, oh shit, this might not go well. And it's not gone well. He's 1-13, or 1-12-2. He's only won one session, and he suspended the challenge. He's going to take a mental break, and he put up a long, heartfelt message, talked about feeling depressed and just wasn't able to have that right state of mind, which makes sense. And I know, Ben, you're someone who's very, very in tune with the idea of staying strong mentally and trying to be in the right headspace on a consistent basis. What are you kind of seeing from that challenge? And did you get a chance to read maybe what Phil talked about in regards to the challenge and how he was feeling mentally?
We had a podcast also a couple of weeks ago with Phil Galfond on our YouTube channel. And of course, we also talked about the challenge itself. And first of all, it deserves a lot of respect. We did a similar challenge with tournament against with Pats against Lena and Charles Darwin. And I definitely underestimated the pressure. Of course, you can't compare it. It didn't have this public magnitude as it has with Phil Galfond. However, we're also showing it on Instagram, the results, keeping people up to date. And I underestimated the pressure. You definitely start making plays you wouldn't usually do, because you actually think more about the challenge itself and trying to catch up with the scores instead of just focusing on your game and then see what happens. It's definitely very devastating. I mean, I can't really judge his play or who's better or who's not, because I'm not a PLO player. I mean, I can hold 4 cards in my hand, but that's pretty much. I have some experience with PLO. I sometimes play some PLO online because I find it a very interesting game, but I'm far away from saying that I would beat NL50 or NL100.
Give me like a month with you, a few weeks. I feel like we get you there. Don't worry.
Right.
I got faith in the process, Ben. I mean, maybe we do a switch. You work me in tournaments. I've never really played tournament. I mean, it could be a possibility. You never know. Could be an idea.
Sounds interesting. It definitely, what I really admire about him is that he has the ability to take some days off. And is he going to continue the challenge though? Is he going to come back after a few days, or? So
we're waiting on. So right now, currently where we sit, he's got 6 more scheduled challenge days for this month. He's going to be paying a €3,000 penalty as agreed upon beforehand. He's got some travel days. So March 1st, he said he's going to come back and he's going to decide he's either going to move on to the next challenge or he's going to continue against Vinny Vidi. So right now, I've been talking with Phil, trying to get a little better feeling about where he's coming from, how he might be feeling. And I think we're going to find out. He just needs a couple days off, man. He's got a lot going on with business. You know, he wants the challenge to be successful. It's not just that he's got the challenge to worry about, man, because now he's trying to build Run It Once poker. Now he's dealing with all this feedback, right? Positive and negative. And it's not just because you're getting positive support doesn't mean it makes you feel any better sometimes. It makes you feel worse sometimes too, because you feel like you let people down. And then he's got his child, he's got his wife, he's out of the country, he's not in his comfortable state. So a lot of things working against him in this scenario. It's not going to be easy to necessarily mentally recover and say, wow, like, fuck, man, look what people are saying. Like, they're saying, can I coach anymore? They're saying, am I a good player anymore? Like, are they fucking stupid? I lost to potentially one of the top normal players in the entire world right now. So it's got to be tough to deal with from his end.
Yeah, especially when he makes his way into the second challenge and third challenge, and it turns out to be, starting in a similar way. This can be, and especially once he had his first winning day, I was a little afraid that this is the most devastating about the downswing. You get punched in the face for 10 days in a row, then you get a little tease for 1 or 2 days, and then you're slowly getting up again, and then the downswing rolls with a tank over your body, and you're just like, it's 10 times more devastating than the initial downswing. So I was really hoping that he was going to have a few more winning days. That's what I learned from my downswing, that I don't have any high expectations once it starts getting better, because it's super easy to think, I deserved it. Finally, we're there. Now it's going up again. And then it just turns out to be wrong and you have another downswing, or the downswing continues. So it's good that he takes a break. I'm pretty sure he works with some very good mental coaches. I'm not sure if he works with Ayat or someone else. It's really hard to judge from the outside. I haven't been in a situation like him. All you can do is just reviewing the spots, taking some time off, focusing maybe on other things in his life, bringing some more gratitude back in his life, appreciating the things that he has, because it's very often when we're playing poker that you get very much attached to the results. And it's similar as I would approach if I am setting goals. I try to avoid setting goals because we also don't set goals when we play poker. We instead set a system that increases the chances of making the most profit. Unfortunately, it's something that we very often forget about. So we focus on playing pre-flop properly, making good flop decision, making good turn decision, making good river decision, and then see what's the outcome. But what we do wrong also in the poker players in the world is sometimes we put in all the efforts and then we get shitty results. We're too much dependent then on the results, and especially when you're in a big downswing, it's like, oh my god, I lose all this money, but actually nothing has changed.
Right.
You're not gonna, when you have aces, you're not gonna think about, oh, my goal is now to win 75 big blinds. No, you don't think about the river until the river is there. All you can do is focus on the things that are in your control, and everything else is secondary. So all you can do is focus on the things that you control, then let life happen to you. And set the most profitable system that will allow you to make the most money. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it doesn't work out for a long time, but your system is still good. So all you can do is, and all I would do is, I just make sure that my system is working. And work on the fundamentals, regain confidence, and then come back and try again. Mm-hmm. People always expect some sort of magical pill that you can take, some magical advice. Do your meditation, do some workout, do some visualization exercise, and then just try once more. Mm-hmm. Try another time. And I know Phil knows that, but yeah, every downswing has its own special characteristics. But it will definitely be a lesson for him that he will come back stronger. Yeah, I have a feeling that there's going to be a sick comeback, to be honest.
I hope so.
I don't know. I just have this feeling that this guy is going to take some days off. He's going to look some old high stakes cash game footage, the old Phil destroying everyone, regaining confidence, coming back and just running over this guy.
Yeah. Ben,
great story.
I hope so much. I mean, fuck, man. How glorious would that be? I mean, I wish it happened now, to be real with you. I'm a huge fan of Phil, and I really enjoy our time that we spend and talk and the ideas. And he's very just a nice guy and very helpful if you ever need help. And I'm not going to ask him for help, but he would help me if I ever need help with anything. But I really am rooting for him, and I hope he comes back. And I kind of, what you said is very interesting, because this whole downswing, I've never had it in my vocabulary since I've been playing. And I remember when I first started back in 2008, my friends that we started playing with, they'd always be like, oh my God, I'm on a downswing. And I was like, I didn't even, like, you win and you lose some days, right? So for me, my approach was all, like, I never really thought about it. I just got back and played. And if I wasn't feeling, my confidence wasn't high, I dropped down stakes, I got my confidence back, and then I moved back up and I got after it. And I did that all the time throughout the years. And so when it comes to the idea of a downswing, I never really thought, okay, well, I'm downswinging. It was just, okay, I'm not winning right now, or I really didn't even think much about it. I just kept playing the next day. It wasn't something I really stressed about or worried about. And I just had this sort of like top line objective, which was try to make it to high stakes, and I wasn't going to stop playing it to high stakes. That was basically kind of what it came down to. And in the process, the system I saw to make it to high stakes was I needed to play as much as I could. In retrospect, I probably needed to take more breaks because I was so obsessed with getting to high stakes that's all I did every single day, all day long, is that thought poker, talked poker, studied poker, played poker. That's it. So in retrospect, I would have liked to clear my mind a bit and been more self-aware when my fundamentals were lacking and I just wasn't playing well. But at the time, I just thought the only way you overcame that was to grind through it. And in retrospect, that did build some incredible grit and determination and able to overcome those obstacles. And now when I deal with things, for the most part, I'm able to overcome those things. And in poker, I think I am, because I feel like poker, the idea is quite simple. Is that, okay, well, what do I need to get better at? Then I go study the material. And now with the information, we're able to find out exactly what you do in a lot of spots. Well, it's incredibly easy to go study. It's like, where do I feel uncomfortable? All right, I don't understand what to do with on the ace 5-8 with the flush draw board. Okay, well, I don't understand how to play my range. I'm not able to deal with this aggression. Well, you can just go study it. For me, I can call up 6 people I know that are some of the top players and say, hey, what do you guys think? And then I go out there and I'm going to play that spot a lot better next time. So for me, it just seems kind of simple to get better at the game. And it's always really seemed that way for me. So then when I work with people, I sometimes struggle because I'm like, where do you feel uncomfortable? They're like, well, I feel uncomfortable everywhere. I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, we got some work to do for sure. So that process for me was always just play. But now it's a lot more studying, and it turns out I probably should have studied a little bit more efficiently and effectively back in the day. And that's something we see more of a focus on these days in poker, is that with the material so abundant and with the coaching styles improved, the ability for people to learn is now improved and become more efficient because the actual teaching is done better as well too.
Yeah, I think especially the mindset of always adopting this beginner's mindset. So when we start, we're always curious. We always want to soak up knowledge, right? We listen to everyone's feedback. We're like a sponge. We're not entitled. We don't think, oh, we are better than this guy. We're not going to listen to his advice. But somewhere along the way, with more success, with more experience, our ego grows, and we are a little bit more picky about the advice that we're taking. And we're losing this curiosity. And there's a great book that I really like. It's called, I think, Zen Mind, Beginner Mind. And it's a Asian philosophy that you always remain a student, and the success you earn, whether it's just moving from NL 5 cent to NL 10 cent, it's not carved in stone. You have to earn the success over and over again. But typically for poker players where big egos are involved and it's a single player game, and I had a lot of students that were winning for 1 or 2 years and then they can't win for another year and they fall back, and then they all repetitive pattern. Everyone tells me, yeah, I didn't study as much as anymore. But I said, why? Why do you stop studying? Yeah, because they think once they reach the pinnacle of success that they can stop studying. But that's, of course, stupid, right? I mean, I don't know where they have it from, this belief. If you look at the most professional football teams, soccer teams, baseball teams, they practice every day in order to stay at the top. And it's a really good book. It's a really good philosophy that goes a little bit deeper into this kind of approach of.
No, I gotta call back to what you just said. What you just said kind of glazed over it. Very important. You're right? I think that's a great thing to remind yourself. What you just said is that the top football players, they don't become the top football player and then stop going to fucking practice. They don't stop going to film study. They don't stop working with their coaches. They work with their coaches more. They study more. They're watching film. They're breaking down their game. It's exactly correct. That's an exact way to put it. And what happens in poker is you have some success. You're like, fuck it, I'm done. It doesn't make any sense really in a lot of ways. You're like, well, what would you do that for, man? Yeah. And I think what we're going to see, and I've got this crazy idea, Ben. I'm curious what you think about this, because I feel like in the future we might, and the solo isolation poker grind can be very, very draining and very depressing. I think we're going to see more of like a team kind of thing where someone has their coach, they have their trainer, they have a team of people that they work together with to get better and to stay sharp and to stay mentally strong. I feel like at some point in time we could see that, even though there is that direct competition against the people that you're with, so you might not want to give things away. But I think that that's an overall a bit healthier way to live, and we see a lot of poker players who live very unhealthy lives, and maybe having that accountability structure in place and those people around you in place who are incentivized to keep you in line and keep you strong, which I imagine you actually might do something like that as well with the setup that you have, with the people you work with the team that you have as well too. But I think that might be something we see adopted, because it's exactly what happens in mainstream sports and in esports. that's what we see, and that's what has success. It's not just the guy by himself having all the success. It's no, they work together.
Yeah, and even if you just look at solo sports like tennis, they have a big team. They have physiotherapists, they have coaches, mental coaches. It's a big team. And yes, in poker, people are afraid, yeah, I don't want to work with others because I don't want to give away my magical strategies and then they start re-exploiting me. But I think the synergy effects are much bigger than the wisdom you're sharing to others, and you might make yourself more susceptible for re-exploits, which I believe is bullshit. I always believe if two ambitious, mind-minded people are working together, 1+1 then is 7. It's not 2 anymore, or it's 8. It's just you gain so much more value out of a collaboration with someone that you think you have a similar idea, you have a similar vision. It's so beneficial, and that's why I started Raise Your Edge in the first place, and that's why we also have such a large Discord community, because I emphasize on, hey, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. In fact, when people reach out to me, hey Ben, what do I need to do in order to become better or good at poker, or I want to pursue a professional poker career, and it doesn't matter, like you have 4 or 5 pillars, right? Health, your relationships, then poker or business or whatever it is. You have your relationships, maybe your spirituality. So you have to have all this in place. Like, fix your health first. Make sure that you surround yourself with the right people in poker, because sooner or later, if you're going to be the lone wolf, it's fucking lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to work out for a couple of months. You're going to think it's awesome, it's great, but it will backfire onto you. And especially when you have a downswing and you don't have someone that can catch you, GG. I would have quit poker in 2012 if I wouldn't have had 3-4 poker buddies back then in my hometown in Germany. 100%. I was that short before quitting. My downswing went for, I think, 16 months. I was grinding mid-stake sit-and goes. I had break-even winnings, and my EV was like 70, 80,000 profits. Everyone was winning apart from me. And I was studying so hard. But it was just sit and goes are high variance. You have 2, 3, 4%, maybe 5% ROI. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you can easily have a stretch over thousands of games of not winning at all. But they kept pushing me. They reviewed games with me, and they made me continue going. However, also friends are there to tell you, hey, you fucking suck in poker. Yeah, better quit and study the game. And that's essential, and you need it for business as well. Whatever project you're trying to tackle, man, get your health straight, surround yourself with like-minded people, work out, eat healthy, and then do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever it is, like this one, poker or business, you can replace it. It does work out in poker, but everything else is in place. You're much faster, much quicker, and then accomplishing great things, whatever it is.
But out there, people listen, guys, if you don't want to do any of this, you don't have to. It's okay. Playing the right games.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
Playing the right games, you might be able to still win too. Because I think a lot of people out there, it sounds like stuff they want to do, and it's a common message we hear in most industries, especially as we're getting to be more of a self-help type of world, where people are saying you make money this way, you get better this way, you do this way. The messages are all the same across the board. It's not like, it turns out if you're eating healthy, if you got people around you who are good at what they do and who motivate you and keep you in line, you're going to have more success. So this isn't a rocket science idea, but I mean, for me, I just find a more enjoyable way to live personally too. Like, I've been isolated, I've been locked in the room, I've been at home, not taking advantage of people that I know. And, it gets pretty depressing, and you sort of wonder, well, how can I shake these feelings? Like, I don't want to feel this way. And it really isn't hard, but it's just a matter of taking those steps and putting yourself out there in some ways, and finding those people that you can confide in some ways, and you can talk with, and you can get your mind working, and you can get stimulated a little bit. So I think we're starting to learn that, okay, this is how to do this. This is how to get over this. This is it's proven. It's proven in every industry like that too.
I mean, it might sound a little contradicting, but the stronger my circle is that has my back of people that can support me, push me when shit hits the fan. But it also actually allows me to be more often lonely. I don't need to be physically around them all the time. Mm-hmm. I can just sit there, because just knowing already gives me that extra 5-10% that allows me to exceed my limits, to stand up one more time. And it's not that that you spend every second time with someone exchanging. No, you actually, once you have your circle, your inner circle fixed or set up, you just go and you can grind for weeks all on your own. And I mean, it's still lonely to a certain degree. It's not that a lot of people will support that. I mean, it's just, I think, one, especially when you start, a lot of your friends and family, they will have something to say about it, because they might be a little bit envious that you take the action, that you go for it. But I think that's normal. That's
you get rid of those people years. I mean, I had those people in my life. What, 2007, 2008, right? Where are those people at now? They're still relatively in the same position. Yeah. So that's what's going to be. They're not, the people that don't support you, what you do. For me, it's not as easy for a lot of people, but me, not going to deal with those sort of people in my life. So the people that are in my life now, and I think you're right about the people you keep around you being incredibly important, because I've always kept a really high standard for the friends I have, for the people I talk to on a regular basis. And right now, as I shift more into business-minded, and I shift more into wanting to be one of the best in the world at what I do with my business, in terms of creating content, in terms of working with a team, in terms of trying to build a brand and trying to sort of, I guess, create this magically beautiful content that people seem to really enjoy and draw attention to the things that I'm interested in. I'm trying to surround myself with more of those type of people as well too, and they give you great feedback and they keep you on ball, and it's just it really helps you stay focused in as well too. So I've been noticing that a lot, and I think it's something I never necessarily did I didn't do that for poker for a few years, but when I started learning poker the first couple years, we always had a house of people we lived in. I moved to San Diego right away. I had a roommate. I had multiple roommates. Strangely enough, one of my roommates became one of the top Heads Up Nolan Holm players online. And now I don't know how much him playing with my psychotic ass came into play, but I basically grinded every single day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. I was trying to, I was a machine basically. And I saw him and I was like, he kind of worked hard, but I'm curious to see what'll happen. And then he became one of the top guys. And I was like, damn, man, pretty crazy to see that sort of that progression take place. And then went to Canada. We lived in a building. There were 3 other guys in the building, and I basically adopted my friend Brad, who was also Supernova Elite. He came up with this game selecting, bum hunting strategy, and I was like, man, it seems pretty fucking dumb, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. 3 tables, like, that seems like I need 24. I can't. What are you talking about? You can't play 3. And then finally, I got Super Elite the second time. I did a challenge with the pressure. We talked about pressure earlier. I've done these public prop bets, and I don't even think about that, because I'm just like, I'm gonna win the challenge. So this one, I needed to play 450,000 hands, a PLO, most ever played in that December. And of course, it's pressure, because maybe I got to go back home and I got to quit poker. I'm gonna lose my money. I got to get a job at Subway, but I would have had to get a job at Subway. It's true. But, at the time, I didn't see it that way. And I just made it happen. 16-hour days, the last couple weeks of the month. And we got it done. But as soon as January 1st hit, I go, you know what? Let me just fucking try this guy's strategy, right? How bad can it be? 3, 4 tables. Let me just game select. Let me see what happens. And Ben, it turns out, if you can break even or slightly win 24 tabling, you can probably fucking dominate 3 tabling, because it means you're probably a pretty good player. So that was the turning point in my poker career. I changed up my strategy completely. I started playing in a little bit softer games, but I didn't go overboard with it. And the graph went up ever since then. One of the best decisions of my life. Sometimes it just takes that one slight adjustment to what you're doing, man. Basically, I think that's the main point, is that sometimes you're doing things a certain way for years, and you're wondering why you're not having that success. And then sometimes you alter one thing, and then that success comes to you, whatever it is, right? Whether it's your approach to the game you play, approach to the strategy you have, the people that you might listen to around you. It's really all it takes, man. It's just to change that one thing. That's it.
I mean, once you surround yourself with those people, you also benefit from their discoveries. Mm-hmm. Like you, just, trying out 3 tables. I mean, I had some investments in the past where I also benefit from the people that I had around me that came across some very great business opportunities or investment opportunities. And hey, Ben, do you also want to invest? And it's at the beginning, it's a grind. I remember back then on pokerstrategy.com, they had these hand rating forums where you could post a hand. I think every coach hated me. Like I posted every fucking day. I was like, wow, what a great opportunity. People, coaches with more experience. And then there's this BenCB guy posting hands every day. But I always try to learn more. I wanted to know, how would you play this hand? And I remember there were actually you had this different kind of membership level. You had bronze, silver, gold, diamond, platinum, diamond, and black member. And I was like silver or gold. And then some black members or diamond members. Like, isn't it obvious how you have to play the hand? Can you not think for yourself? Can you not do you always have to post something? And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I just want to learn, And the coaches were always nice and respectful, and they always answered me, but I was just so eager to learn more. I didn't care how stupid my line was. And through this grind in the forums and posting hands, I also came across other users, and we made user-to-user reviews. And there were also a lot of people that at some point I realized they don't have the ambitious goals as I had. So I had to say, hey, listen, I would like to move on. You're a great guy, but it just it's not a match. And one day I meet Julian Thomas.
I'm breaking up with you.
I'm meeting Julian Thomas and Rainer Kempe. And I think a lot of people know what happened then. And then Fedor Holz joins, and Steffen Sondheimer joined, and Koray Aldemir joined. And we all started playing low stakes, and at some point, we all were playing in the highest stakes possible. So I think this illustrates really well that it's not just, or meeting one or two guys, you're going to find your magical partner that you can study with. It's a grind. You have to try out people. And also having the balls to have this conversation with someone. If you see that your attitudes or your visions, whatever you want to call it, doesn't align, then just say, hey guy, you know what, we break up, basically. And I think too many people are afraid of doing that. And it's not selfish at all, because you have to make yourself happy first in order to give happiness to others. If you surround yourself with shitty, toxic people that drag you down, that you feel miserable about, how can you give happiness to? I think this is selfish. I think it's your responsibility to take care of your own happiness in order to give happiness towards others, in order to benefit other people's lives, to give value. You can't do it when you're unhappy. So it's not selfish at all, because I've got some messages, yeah, but isn't it selfish to break up with friends? No, there's 6 billion people. What fucking book is it written that you have to stay with someone for the rest of your life? Nowhere.
My girlfriend's laughing right now. All right, babe. You think that's funny? It wasn't meant to be funny. It was meant to be spot on. And he's trying to make people laugh. He's trying to preach facts to you. What are you talking about, man? It's a good point. I've been friends with a lot of people over a poker career, man. I'm just not. I still like them. We're still friendly, but as I've moved on with my career, right, I've met a lot of people, and it's very challenging to stay close to all those people. So I think you have like your main guys or your main girls that you stay friends with for the entirety potentially of your life in some ways. And when you see them, it's just like old times in some ways. But as your ambition grows, and I think sometimes I feel bad about the ambition I have and the desire to want to get better and the desire to want to have success in what I do at some type of ways, because the people around me I see are wired a little bit differently. And I sometimes think, well, maybe I should be more like that because I want to fit in more with them. But that's really not how I am. And I've never been happy living my life that way and sort of being impacted by other people's, I guess, direction they want to go. And that was something I struggled with for the past couple of years, was just like I would meet people and they would get a little older. We're in our 30s now, and it's like, okay, well, are you still going to be like, do you still need to be that driven? Like, what about calming down, or what about, maybe doing something a little more chill? And I said, well, I'll try it. And turns out I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I think certain people enjoy it. But I just like the process of learning, the process of applying new information, and then challenging myself, and then meeting other people who like that process too. And that's just what I like. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for a while, I did think there was something wrong with that.
Yeah. And it's not like that, once you find someone that you think you're a match, and then you just try to leech their value as much as you can. No, it's actually, I have deepened my relationships with those people. I'm able to have much stronger relationships with, once I started understanding, okay, I'm responsible for building my army, for building my inner circle, of dragging the people into my life that we share similar vision. And those relationships are much longer lasting. Like, I have their backs, they have my backs. We go together through shitty times, and it's not like that, you know, you jump from one friend to the other and then next friend. No, it's not like this. So just to make that clear, and the relationships I have today, I think, are much more blissful than the ones I used to have. I try to be friend with everyone. Like, you know, the fear of missing out, a party here, a party there, or what might he think about me when I don't spend enough time with him. And I had a lot of very superficial relationships with a lot of people, but I really didn't have a lot of deep relationships. In fact, my best friend today, who's also running a business, who has a very entrepreneurial spirit as I have, we already know each other for like 15 years, but actually after 5 years, or actually 6 or 7 years, we started becoming good friends. Before that, it was just an artificial relationship because I didn't see his real values, and I tried to be friend with everyone. But once I started realizing, I figured, hey, we actually have so much in common. We started spending more time, and it's a fucking amazing friendship.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'm definitely in the, and anyone that watches me will probably not be surprised, but I'm in the camp of friends with everybody. I probably have, I mean, I get thousands. I get a lot of messages from people, whether they're friendly, whether I don't know them, whether they're my friends. And I think over the years, it's just, I tend to like everybody. I tend to have respect for people. I tend to treat people nicely. And for whatever reason, people, you know, they want something from me. It seems like at some point in time, right? They want to hang out. They enjoy it. They want whatever, right? So I've actually had a very big challenge of narrowing that down and saying, okay, which relationship should I pursue a little bit deeper versus having like this widespread, you know, this person, especially living in Vegas where people come to town all the time and they always want to get together, and sometimes it's out of line, and I'm trying to be more in line. So that's been a challenge I've faced in terms of saying, okay, well, let me dedicate myself a little bit more to these relationships versus being so widespread out all over the place.
I definitely can understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you should be very picky about the people and then be the douchebag to the others.
Right.
You should always be respectful and treat people nice. How do you deal with hate, by the way? It's something that I always find very interesting, with haters, with trolls in the internet.
I love it. So fun. I mean, in theory, like that shit, I don't really care that much, right? Because I think anything that someone says, I've thought about myself before too. So if they want to say something to me that some people would consider negative, then it doesn't really matter to me. It kind of fires me up. I mean, if people say you can't do this or you're this or you're that, at this point, it's just whatever to me. I don't see these people, right? Like, what do they want to do? They want to come fight? Like, you know, let's get after her. I mean, it just doesn't make for me. It doesn't make any sense to really care that much about it. Yeah. You know, they want to come up, wrestle in the cave. We'll wrestle in the cave. What do you guys want to do, right? Like, you want to get together? You want, like, it doesn't make sense to me. So if they say you're annoying, or they say, you know, you talk too much, it's just, you know, it's my channel, right? I'm going to talk on my fucking channel. And if somebody wants to say something about me, like, listen, invite me into your life for a little bit, man. Let me go explore. Let me go critique your life. I'm sure I'm going to come back in and you're going to feel a lot more hurt than I'm going to feel about it, because really it just motivates me. So when I see things that people say to me, it just kind of fires me up. But what about you? How do you take is the hate something that gets to you? Because do you get a lot of hate? I don't really see too much hate in your comments or in terms of the feedback that you get from people out there.
Well, we always delete them right away. No, I have a very simple rule. If it's very constructive criticism, people criticizing the quality, audio, maybe they have some feedback to certain aspects of the content, I always appreciate it. And I was like, hey, thanks for the feedback. Even if they're wrong, but just being nice and giving respectful feedback, I don't mind. But if it's really a troll, I mean, the hardest one, people accusing me being a rapist because I didn't reveal myself.
What?
Yeah, that was like
You know,
where you start thinking, what the fuck is going on? Okay, there was one guy sending messages on YouTube. Yeah, you're probably a criminal, like a rapist, and that's why you don't try to come out, show yourself, and then all these bad words. And then
what?
you really start. It comes out of nowhere. You know, you start making content, and you just want to provide value to the world, and then you get these messages, and which I would never expect. You know, it's like it's so out of nothing, and then you start thinking about it. And then of course, here and there you get some very mean messages, which to this point now today I'm kind of over it, because I think, okay, well, if someone thinks that I'm a scammer, I'm a rapist, I'm an idiot, I'm an asshole, I think, well, okay, if they think I'm such a person, they must have very happy lives because they never really met someone like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually very grateful for them. It's like, all right, that's cool for them. If their metric is me being a scammer or rapist or an idiot, then they must have very, very happy lives. I feel some gratitude for them, and then I just move on. If it's an obvious troll or hate, I also don't respond. I just delete it. If I see some sort of trying to learn something, I make one effort. I like, listen, you're not necessarily respectful, but I give it a try. Some people actually, to my surprise, say, okay, Ben, sorry for my tone. Okay, and then you can talk with them on a level of respect. Some people keep being disrespectful, and then I just delete the comment and I forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
This really helps. This definitely really helps, and I can move on and do my thing.
Yeah, I think what I've learned in my time off from really studying is that to be able to get past a certain level of attention or of status, you really have to not let these things impact you. Otherwise, you're going to be very unhappy. So when I've been thinking about my own life in terms of what type of level of attention I'd like to be on, if I wanted to go past the point I was at, I just, that is what it is. And it's not necessarily comforting sometimes to read comments like that, but when you really think about it, it doesn't matter too much. So I think for myself, I was trying, because I'm mainly deciding if I want to go for, because I really want the challenge of potentially trying to build the biggest YouTube channel, one of the biggest YouTube channels in the world. I think I have a really good strategy down. I think I know exactly how I would do it. But I realize with that comes a lot of attention, a lot of people that don't know you, so they're going to be very judgmental based off of a very limited interaction and sample size with you, which is going to tend to be negative because they're going to see you in a tank top, or they're going to see your hair a certain way, or you're going to say a word a certain way, and you're going to see those type of comments. So I'm just deciding, like, do I want to let that into my life? And if I do, and if I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with the pros that come from the cons, then I can go ahead and do it. So I'm still currently in that position. I'm trying to decide, like, is this something I want to do, or do I want to be more behind the scenes? And I think that for the studying that I've done, I'm the best case study to do. And then once I prove the case study with myself, then I can charge any amount of money I want to work with any type of business at any type of scale. And then I'll be able to set myself up for the rest of my life. So that's sort of the thinking I have right now, which is why I've been studying. I probably spent about, I don't know, how much time do you think I spent studying, Bumby? All day? Yeah, I pretty much study all day long. I'm people. I don't know if anyone else does that, but I'm studying all day long. I'm reading all day long. I watch the best videos all day long. I talk with people all day long, and I go through my notebooks all day long, just trying to better my strategy and understanding and get a clear picture of what I'm doing and where I'm trying to go. So
mostly about building a YouTube channel, building a brand.
It's mainly kind of like business. It kind of starts like at the beginning, so I kind of like decoded it back. So I need to get a better understanding the just psychology in general, how people think, how I think, why businesses succeed, what needs they fill, the basic needs that humans have. So kind of tracing it back to the beginning and then sort of scaling up from there, and then establishing good fundamentals in my life in terms of health, of course, as you mentioned earlier, consistency, the diet, working out, loving relationships in your life in terms of people that can uplift you and provide you support as well too. So I'm trying to build a structure in my life that will allow me to scale up my life to that degree, and then I can actually handle it without driving myself crazy. So right now what I've been really trying to do is that my main study lately has been in marketing. So I basically studied all the mainstream sports. I've tried to study some of the top music, anything entertainment, music, movies, and sports. So I'm really studying what they do to create attention for their product, how they hype their product up, how they improve the quality of their product so that people enjoy it, and then figuring out ways I can apply that to my own content or my own system, my own events or my own whatever it is that I do, and then how I could potentially apply that to any business that I potentially work with, so that way I can provide value for whoever. And that's been something I really enjoyed, because you start to realize how much helping others gain attention matters for their business, and then you understand how valuable you could potentially be for a company. So if you go to a company and say, okay, I know I can do this for you, how much is that worth to you? You could realize how much money you can make if your goal is to make money. So it's just about me sort of brainstorming these ideas, building up potential businesses, getting in the habit of doing that, and then yeah, man, that's sort of the process I'm in now. So one of the big reasons I started doing content again was because I wanted to put all that study into action, and that's why people will see the content in the future is going to be a little bit different, because I'm testing out some new ideas that I think could work mainstream. So that's sort of where I'm at right now with my own thought process. And I imagine you with your content and you with your business, I see you trying a lot of ideas, and I see you trying a lot of new things. I imagine you're somewhere in the same vicinity with your focuses as well, with business and content too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about trial and error, keeping your team together. It's like being a firefighter, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, especially if you have a big team, you're operating in two different industries. Hello, we're live.
I know.
Hello. That's my girlfriend. Hello.
Hello.
She just a little dance out of nowhere.
Hello.
Usually she's shy when I'm recording. She always tries to avoid the camera. That came a little unexpected.
She must have known I like dancing, so that's what happened, man. We like dancing around here all the time. We're always dancing around here.
Great. So what I was about to say.
Gary Vaynerchuk. You're talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. You're talking about related to him.
Yeah, and you're like a firefighter, and you have to learn a lot about team building. You have to learn about marketing. Of course, you have your guys for marketing, but still, I still want to have an idea how it works. I don't want to be completely clueless. And then you try out different formats, you try out different things and see what works, and then keep narrowing down your focus on what is going really well. One book I can really recommend here is The One Thing. Definitely one of the reasons why Raise Your Edge at some point really kicked off, because I started cutting out all the other projects. We had a event management project as well, organizing networking events, working for other poker schools as well, having way more one-on-one students, but then cutting it all out, putting all my focus on Raise Your Edge, and then it went up. And so always trying to find out, okay, what's the one thing I can focus on more?
Right. When you say that, right, so your one thing is the business, or do you narrow it down? So you have your business as your one thing, but are you sort of breaking that down and saying, okay, the main idea is to grow the business, but then there's a lot of possibilities in terms of how you can do that. So how do you narrow it down from that point in time?
It's like fishing. I throw different.
Okay, I like it. I didn't see it coming, but I like it.
It's like you throw different. How do you say, like, this fishing equipment, the
fishing line.
The fishing line. You throw out different ones. The ones that you try different baits, and the ones that work really well, you keep using them, and you focus more on that. So we try out different products. I mean, we used to have accounting software for stables, which I was super excited about, but it didn't work out. So we had to abandon this project, and then we tried other ones as well. And can be courses, can be software, can be going into esports and seeing what's the one that really works, and then focusing more on that. Of course, this is for business. You have your one thing in your personal life, maybe your girlfriend and 2 or 3 very good friends that you want to spend the most time on. Maybe in your spiritual life, your health, like certain routines that work really well for you. It's like in all these areas, try to find the things that work really well for me. I always used to try different workouts, had a lot of different friends, so many projects. I was literally the guy that wanted to do so many things at once. I did a lot of things, but with mediocre result. Raise Your Edge was decent. We had decent sit and go content back then, but that was pretty much it. I was still doing really well with poker. I had a decent amount of circle of students, but didn't really feel like I had a strong connection to my students. Was a decent connection. I just everything was decent, but not really amazing, not really impactful for people's life. And this book really helped me to understand, okay, get your shit together, have the ability to say no, because with finding your one thing, it means saying a lot of no's, and then keep focusing on that and keep trying. It's like a constant process.
So then in that process, you decided to focus more on the tournament course that you have?
At this point in time, it was, a lot focused on the tournament course. I cut out a lot of coachings for other poker schools, which means also a lot of sacrifice in short-term money, of course. I got less money. I mean, money was never an issue at this point in time, but I also cut out a lot of one-on-one students. I maybe worked with 1 or 2 students at a time. Back then I had 5 or 6 students. I was in another coaching for profit program involved. Jeez. I also left this. Huh?
I said, geez, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. And also it was the same time when we were coaching Kenny Hollard, and I was like, fuck, I have so much stuff to do, but I'm going to make it happen. And I took all these projects, accumulated, but you have to understand, once you add another project, you have to cut out on the other end. You have to let go of something, but I wasn't doing it. I was just adding more and more projects, more and more students, and I tried to keep everything together. And at some point I was like, man, like, can't go on like this. And then I also met my girlfriend, and I realized, okay, in order to also have a more sustainable relationships and deeper relationships, I need to start abandoning things.
And do you feel like at this point in time that you've been able to do that? Because I still, from where I'm sitting, I still see you doing a lot, and you're doing it consistently as well too. So do you feel like you have that more under control mentally in terms of the direction that you're going with your life and your business and your health and your relationships?
Yeah, because now we have a very strong team. We have installed certain mechanisms that allow us to do things very quick. We have built this infrastructure in our company where from content production to the release of the content, it goes much quicker. Back then, I was a little bit more, let's do this, and then who wants to edit this stuff, or who's going to take. It was a little bit more random and not so organized as it is today. I really like this spontaneous kind of workflow we have. So it's still very creative. It's not that we have this hierarchy of there's the boss and he tells everyone what to do. I always treat everyone as we are on the same level, and I take input very serious, but still the structure we have installed allows us to be very effective, very efficient. It looks like a lot of, as everyone is working 24/7, they are working a lot. We are all working a lot, but I think it's also a lot of fun. It doesn't really feel like work. It's not, I have to work today again. I don't mind having 12 hours working day, to be honest. I can still, after 11 hours, spend 1 hour in Discord and answer everyone's questions.
Do you consider it work when you think about it as work, or do you consider it more as something that you just enjoy doing and you'd prefer to be doing that versus other things?
It's part of my life, and I personally have figured out for me that just helping someone, helping people is really meaningful for me, and yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Kind of work, yeah. Not necessarily work as most people would define work, for sure.
Right, I think that's how people do define it. They define work as this thing that they don't necessarily want to do, but they have to do, whereas other people view the work they do as something that they would do anyway, or they enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of misconception about, finding your passion and finding your love and then do it. I think this is very, very, very dangerous advice. I see all these proclaimed self-help gurus, just find your passion, just be motivated, find what you love in order to be successful.
Shout out Fedor.
It's I mean, it's
he's
not
new.
Only
he's starting out. He's a new speaker. He's starting out.
For me, it's people don't care about your passion. If you want to build a business, if you want to become successful in something, you have to do something what you love plus what people need. Your love has to solve people's needs. And it sounds so easy, of course, to say, hey, Joe, just go do what you love. You're going to be successful. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Every successful business solves a need. And if you have a passion for something that doesn't solve a need for people, you're not going to be successful. I'm not saying you should never do what you love, but then it's going to be a hobby. Don't be surprised if you don't make money out of it. People want to see your content. You have good advice to say. You're very valuable in what you have to say, and you're entertaining. That's what people need. If you would be boring as fuck and your advice would be shitty, no one would watch your content. So this is always what you have to keep in mind. Dr. Disrespect is such a successful streamer because he's entertaining. He's solving a need to entertain people.
That guy's something, man. I'll tell you that. That guy's something.
And whether it's entertainment, whether it's content, whether it's an app, if you don't solve a need, yeah, you can do what you love for the rest of your life. You will never make money.
Where's this? This comment was relevant to this. He said, Orto Dairy 282. Do you still really enjoy playing like having fun? Joey and Ben. Ben, what do you think about that? Do you still have fun playing poker?
Yeah, I play once a week on Sundays and the big series, Scoop and W Coop. And yeah, I'm actually very excited. If I don't have a hangover, if I don't have a jet lag, why I can't have a hangover?
That's how Ben prepare, guys. You've learned the secret. BenCB prepares
if I don't have a
for a
jet
big
lag,
Sunday by drinking.
To be honest, when we arrived on Sunday from America, or it was Saturday, I really felt a hangover because I wasn't sleeping for 30 hours. We had such a terrible flight. It was very chaotic. They had a lot of turbulences for 3-4 hours in a row. It went like,
jeez, yeah.
It wasn't pleasant, and we couldn't sleep. So, and then I tried to stay up the next day as well to not fuck up my sleep cycle, and it was a big fight. I had a lot of coffees, and usually I don't drink a lot of coffees. So yeah, when I'm not jet lagged, then I usually play Sundays, or if I not have any other obligations, traveling or something, then usually Sundays, Scoop and W Coop. And yes, I definitely do enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% still enjoy playing. I love playing the great game of Potlam Omaha. I love playing poker in general. I just know how unhealthy I can get with it because I get super obsessed and I play till 6 a.m. and it's almost I do well at poker still, so it's kind of demotivating to be motivated for business because I'm like, well, let's think of my business here. I might make this amount of money that I can make in one session. So it's, I just want to play more poker, and I'm good at poker. It's something I've always enjoyed all my life, but I don't necessarily enjoy live poker as much as I used to enjoy online, playing a bunch of games and being able to kind of game select and know I was playing in a fair ecosystem where I don't know that anymore now, the places that I play. So that is something that I do kind of struggle with because I'm like, well, I don't really want to play against, people that might be cheating or bots or anything like that, which, it's a high risk right now and the security is non-existent. So I do enjoy going to the casino because I live by the casinos here in Vegas. So I go there and it's fun, man, because a lot of people talk to me at least. So you just got to embrace it. And I've met a lot of really cool people and met a lot of people that have given me things or give me advice or give me a lot of feedback or they ask me for my advice on a lot of different things. So I just try to really enjoy the experience, and man, I love playing. It's so much fun that it's very easy to know what to do. You go play poker, you play poker to win money. It's not too hard. It's like that's what you do. So with all this other stuff, there's all these other variables, and it's not quite as black and white as in terms of what is success. So yeah, definitely love playing poker, man. It's so much fun. Yeah. What is Slander Alexander says, trying to change my mindset. Need some solid quotes to put on my wall. Joey, do you and Ben have any inspirational or motivational quotes that have helped your mindset? # passion. What do you think, Ben? Do you have any quotes or anything like that for my man Slander Alexander here?
Oh man, I could go on a rant when first, never ask a question like this. Inspirational quotes, seeking for this external motivation, then being motivated for a few days and then it fades away and you're at the same place where you are right now. I try to find out your own whys, your own reasons why you want to accomplish something, why you want to get good in poker, why you want to play poker, what are your real reasons, like real important reasons. And if you check out my Instagram, I have some stories saved on motivation. And I don't have motivation. for me, a very key belief is humans are the greatest resource. This is for me one of the most impactful beliefs I have came across over the last year that stuck with me for stuck with me for the most time. And once I also started implementing that into the business with Raise Your Edge, at the beginning I was doing everything on my own. Then everything accelerated. But apart from that, I don't really believe in those motivational quotes. It can give you a little bit of fire for
yeah,
if you like, but really sustainable motivation is intrinsic motivation. This comes from the inside, and that's why so many people wonder why, oh, this guy, he has such a strong mindset, he's so disciplined. No, actually he's not disciplined. For him it's fucking important. He has his priorities. This is the thing that he wants to achieve, and he can skip parties. He doesn't need to spend time with stuff that he distracts him in order to enjoy himself. So he can put in the hours, but he knows exactly why he's doing it. Maybe he has to pay back his parents. And just to maybe briefly recap, it's, for example, for most people, what is the reason? Number one, it's making money in poker, right? So it's not just like asking yourself, okay, I want to be becoming good in poker to make a lot of money. No, then you continue. Why do you want to make a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be financially independent. Yeah, why do you want to be financially independent? I want to be traveling a lot. Okay, why do you want to travel a lot? To meet new people and maybe make new meaningful relationships. Like, why? Like, to find the love of my life. And then at some point you get into more meaningful whys that you find out for yourself. And this takes some time to, whether it's meditating, sitting down, writing stuff down, going for 7 days to Iceland, just cutting out all the distractions. But everything that is great, joy, gratitude, happiness, motivation, it comes from the inside. And you have to shut the fuck up, lock yourself in a room, and let it come up. You're not going to find it, I'm sorry, in a podcast asking someone for motivational advice.
Maybe he did just find it because you gave him a good answer. So technically,
I hope so.
Technically,
I really
that could be incorrect.
I really hope so. I think, of course, it sells easy, to give some motivational quotes, and then people are fired up for 10 minutes, maybe do a workout, but then the day after, they keep eating the cookies.
So, all right. So what I want you to do is I want you to go rewind what Ben just said, and then that's the quote you put on the poster in your room. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a poster the size of your wall, and then you're just going to read that every day, Ben's quote there. And I understand that was a long quote, and it wasn't necessarily one sentence. It was more like a couple paragraphs, but that's what you're going to put on the sheet of paper, and if you follow that advice, you will make $1 billion at poker. Well, no, you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve. I think it's a good process to have. It's something that I and many others easily forget. And it's something that I did a lot of thinking on when I took my time off and said, okay, do I really want to be doing this? And why do I want to be doing this for? What is the main goal? I think for yourself, right, it's kind of a good thing to ask you is, well, when you think about those things for yourself, why are you choosing to do these things that you're doing at this type of scale that you're doing it?
Because I have realized at some point that everything that makes an impact in your life and that we're seeking for, whether it's love, it's creativity, it's joy, it's inner peace, it's freedom, it's gratitude, it comes from the inside. And in these days, we are more and more distracted from something outside, whether it's phones, whether it's having more friends, social media. We have less opportunity to just be with ourselves. It's getting more messy, more chaotic. So we have dislearned the ability to just tune in and listen what is going on inside. I mean, for example, meditation, it practices the ability to observe your mind, right? And to slow down this rational thinking and to simply be present in the moment. And it practices you to recognize these moments of beauty, of gratitude, creativity, happiness, peace, and so on and so forth. So they're actually always there. They're always there. But you simply can't recognize them. You can't bring them up as often as you want to, because there's so many layers of scattering, of thinking about paying your taxes and bad beats and pink unicorns or whatever is going on in your mind. So there are layers of layers over the years that is stuffing down all the greatness that you have within. I mean, there is something behind it when people say you have greatness within. Unfortunately, they don't elaborate on it, but it's true. And when you never put any effort in practicing the ability to bring that up, even though you're actually surrounded in a very beautiful environment with amazing friends, you won't experience those emotions as much as you want to. So it's a regular practice of just tuning in, not listening, and just letting come up whatever is coming up. And then if you wonder why you're not happy, if you wonder why you're depressed, or you wonder why you don't have meaningful relationships, or you don't experience love, it's and you very likely struggle to connect with others. If you're burned out or stressed, I mean, there's so many reasons. I can go on for forever. It's because you cannot connect with your inside to express the gratitude, to express love, to feel joy and happiness. But they're always there, but they're just simply covered with layers of bullshit and distraction. And you have to understand that these emotions, you don't experience them in your head, these blissful moments. You experience them somewhere here in your body, but we never put attention in our body. We always try to use our heads for everything, and that's fine to a certain degree. By overthinking and strategizing, and by identifying ourselves too much with our thoughts, you're never really able to connect with these deeper emotions. Mm-hmm. And for me at the beginning, I was also very skeptical about it, because I have been also being raised in a way where, you have to think things through. You have to make rational decisions. Don't let your emotions overcome your rational decision-making system. So a very rational guy, German, structured, yada, yada, yada. So it was really hard for me. It's like, no, of course I need to have my head. Like that's the most important thing. And once I started meditating, once I started taking my time to journal, writing down goals, just being, spending the time for myself, most importantly for meditation, I realized that I was happy, started being happy in moments I was never happy before. I started appreciating things I never appreciated before. Is it just simple food? I can sometimes just sit there, eat something like, I don't know, an apple, and I'm super happy. Mm-hmm. It's not that everything is happy. Like, I also have a much better relationship with my negative shit on bad days. It's not all positive. Of course not. But I have a different relationship with my negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and that makes it 20-30% easier or better in my life. Yeah. And that's already quite a big step.
Yeah, I think kind of what you're saying is spot on in a lot of ways, but it's kind of the people that don't necessarily relate to what you say, they can't really empathize what you're talking about. They don't even understand sort of what you're coming from, and it sort of sounds like this sort of thing that you read where people talk about, okay, this guy's preaching this or he's saying it like that, because they've never really taken the time to be disconnected from their cellular telephones, or be disconnected from their video games, or disconnected from stimulation, and they haven't really tried to build the habit up of being able to connect with themselves on that sort of level, because we're always distracted and we're always thinking about something. And I think that's a tough habit to break, just because most people aren't educated on how to break it or what the benefits are to break it. But you realize that a lot of answers to the questions that you have, this is the answer. It's like you just spend more time on the idea of meditation, which is why meditation is becoming such a popular thing out there, is that this helps you center yourself. This helps you get rid of all those thoughts that are in your head, and it clears up your mind for you to be able to realize, okay, what's really important. So I think that was something for a long time I personally didn't realize until I started studying the idea of mindfulness. And then I went to a float tank, and you're in a float tank for an hour and you can't do anything, and you start saying, oh my God, I'm thinking about these things I've never thought before. But most people, when they talk about it, they make it sound so daunting, and it's like, oh my God, fuck, okay. So it's scary to even start initially for a lot of people out there. But it really I think the best advice I would have for people is you focus on your breathing. Just go deep into your stomach or deep into your chest, whatever your breathing pattern is, depending if you're an athlete or how you learn to breathe. But just focusing on your breath and for 5 seconds, and then what happens is that you can find yourself when you're stressed, you focus on your breathing, and you build that habit up, and then over time you're able to do that for longer periods of time. And I think it's a gradual thing that you can do. You don't need to feel like Ben just described right away when you do it, but that's the end point that you can get to if you can remain consistent with it. So if you're wondering, how can I, especially in a competitive environment where other people are doing this, you're going to need to figure out any edge that you can get. And this is a huge edge. So I understand it can be daunting to people to sort of say, well, I don't want to fucking do that. And that makes sense. Yeah. You don't have to. You can still have success and you can still do whatever you want to do. But it's just like anything else. Do you want to use the HUD? Yes. Why? Gives you an edge. Okay. Do you want to do this? Yes. Why? Gives you an edge. Okay. I mean, it's how I look at it. It's sort of that simple. Is do you want to take advantage of everything that you possibly could in a competitive environment? And yeah, I like to. So
I mean, if you're unhappy for quite some time or feel depressed or whatever, and you seek for answers or you seek for motivation and you don't really change anything and you don't give it a try to meditate, then nobody can help you, because then clearly there's something that is missing in your life and you are not paying attention to what's going on the inside and you're not meditating, and maybe this would be a solution. Mm-hmm. There are certainly people that I would consider they appear very happy to me and they don't really do all the meditation and mindfulness exercises, but we're all coming from different places. Maybe your parents raised you with way more self-awareness and raised you in a way more mindful way. So you have been giving that already since your childhood, and it feels easier for you to be present.
Right.
But for others, it's not. You have been raising up in a way more chaotic environment. And then you have a little bit of a disadvantage and you need to put in some extra effort. I mean, I can also understand why people don't believe in it, because first of all, it doesn't cost any money. You can do it everywhere. And usually you're being sold, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not beautiful enough. Buy this shit, use this one, spend your money in order to get good. Like for us, this doesn't cost anything. It sounds so simple. It can't work.
Right.
It always has to be complicated. It always has to be a 10-step system in order to achieve extraordinary results or more mindfulness or more happiness. But no, it's actually very simple. It's hard to do, but it doesn't cost you any money. Maybe $50 for meditation share, if you will. But
what you're describing is the point of marketing. That's what marketing is. Marketing is supposed to make you feel this way for a lot of these companies. So when you look at the biggest companies, they design, this is what I learned from studying marketing and psychology, is that these things are designed to make you feel that way. Like they're scientifically designed by incredibly smart people who are paid millions of dollars to make you feel like you need that product or need that service or need to feel this type of way. So you're fighting against the Veni Vidi of fucking marketing. It's going to be tough to overcome that if you're not aware of how you're being marketed to or how you're being exploited. So they're just exploiting us as the consumer, and most people are unaware that they're being exploited in that ways. And that's a whole other thing for another time. But yeah, I find that's just kind of stuff I find pretty fascinating. So. And then when you look at poker, you're like, poker's not too difficult when you take a look at the world out there and what we have to overcome each day. So I guess you'd have to overcome bots, which could be challenging. Somebody said, is running or exercise a form of meditation? And I think it definitely can be. I think a lot of people, when they experience running, they're very focused on their breathing. And where that feeling of flow state comes from is they're focusing on their breath. And they're focusing on their movement. So they're incredibly focused in. They're thinking about one or two things, and that's how they achieve flow state. They're turning off their mind to all the different distractions around them. And a lot of people can get in that when they play poker, but other people can't because they're watching things on their phone or that's why I like the whole phone at the table thing. I try not to be too, preachy about this kind of stuff because I want people to stay on the phone. I mean, if you want to play on your phone, whatever, but playing on your phone is one of the dumbest things I think. And I understand people want to conserve energy in early days in tournaments, so they choose to play on their phone. But yeah, it's one of the. I mean, if you're trying to be a winning player and you're wondering why you're not winning, like you're probably distracted when you play, oftentimes too. So it's a very easy solution. It's just work on the ability to stay focused in while you play and turning off the internet, Facebook, Twitter, your phone. I mean, not kind of obvious things, but I know it's something people still struggle with.
Yeah, and also flow state can only occur when you have space available in your mind.
Right.
We have only limited amount of willpower available, and meditation helps to clear your mind. Right? Headspace, one of the most popular apps for meditation, and there has been a lot of research being done between groups who achieves better results uh, doing a meditation before a certain exercise or before executing a certain task. And it has been clearly proven over and over again that this group that just does a 5, 10, 50-minute mindfulness exercise, just sitting down, just focusing on the breath, focusing on your body, focusing on the sensations of your body, that you recover your battery, and you make space for the flow state to occur while you play. Also, the same way you take breaks. What most people don't understand, that our subconscious mind is so strong. Even if you take a break and you check your phone, our subconscious mind keeps running. It keeps running, checking or estimating, should we like this post? Should we click on the like? Should we keep scrolling? Or even if you go for a walk, if it's a lot of traffic, you have to make a lot of decisions. You want to make as little decisions as possible, and then you come back and you actually feel more exhausted. So
Right.
of course you should go for a walk, but in nature with little distractions. So you give your space, and actually when you sit down, so you have to understand that, picture this is your tank, right? Your tank of energy, your head. So when you play, you make so many decisions. And when you take a break, you still ponder, did I make a right decision? Did I misplay this hand? And it keeps going. So by sitting down and meditating, you give it the space to come up. And this is actually the scary part, because you have to deal with your thoughts. You have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But that's all right. That's good. You have to go through this short amount of time of pain and just experience your thoughts. That's why you don't need to do anything. But by allowing them to be there, they will actually go away, or they will weaken up.
Right.
So the amount of distraction will decrease, and your energy goes up, or the space available to continue your session. So what happens if you continue distracting yourself with something else? You stuff down all the negative experience you had in this previous hour, and you stuff it down with other bullshit of, I don't know, some duck faces from some Instagram influencers. And you keep adding more and more bullshit, you stuff it down, and then you have less space available for making good decisions in the upcoming hours throughout the entire tournament. So I prefer playing with a tank that is 70%, 75% full, but most players play with 15%,
Right.
and then they wonder why it's so difficult. They get tired, they lose motivation. It feels so hard for them. I can sit there for 12 hours and then, oh, awesome, yeah, oh, Sunday Storm, oh, all in. It's hard to give a very practical advice about this topic, because for most people it has this wuju guju, it's
Right.
all some hippie bullshit. But I mean, there's so much research being done about it, and if you think about it, it makes so much sense to me. And then once you have the space, you will suddenly experience way more flow states. You're just there, you dialed in, you're in the moment. You realize, oh, I studied this sport last week. Wow, awesome! I can execute it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think what you're describing is a state that I think you aspire to get to once you start learning about mindfulness and you start learning about meditation. And I see some comments from people that are saying that it gives them anxiety. And why that is that when you first start looking at it like this, is that you deal with all these uncomfortable thoughts that you don't have experience really facing in the moment, because you're so used to distracting yourself. So instead of actually just grinding it out, just like anything, most people just say, fuck it, I'm not going to grind it out. So that means in the future, when you try to focus on these thoughts and try to answer these uncomfortable thoughts and uncomfortable questions, you keep finding it more and more challenging, is because the habit in place is that you always distract yourself with something. So how I try to look at it now is that I still get into that point where I start thinking about things. I'm like, oh my God, I just don't want to face this anymore. So I've got to the point where I can choose to distract myself in some ways. And then of course there's times where you don't even know, you're not aware of it. So it's just a habit like anything else where you have to snap back in. And I do that by breathing, but I also do that by going on walks as well too. And you mentioned that when you're outside bicycling or walking, you are still distracted because you want to be safe, or you don't want to get hit by cars, or you want to there's things to avoid. What I found is that I take all my meetings but I take a lot of my meetings when I go on walks on the strip, and I get in flow state, and I do that. It's fucking amazing, I swear to God. So because I know the strip so well, because I go walking all the time, that I don't have to worry about, and you don't have to actually cross the street, which is perfect because you get to walk through the casinos. So it's literally amazing. It's like the perfect walking environment, which wouldn't make any sense because you'd think that this is like the most distracting place ever, but this is and it's different for everybody, man. It could be for you. You find it in a room, but I think most people think that they need to be sitting on the couch in their living room.
Try out different things.
Exactly. That's the main point, is that you never know where you're really going to find it. Whether it's in the shower, whether it's in your gym, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's laying down, anywhere like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be this rigid process where you're sitting upright in your chair for 10 minutes on the Headspace app, and you're listening to this voice and you can't sit still, so you're mad at yourself and you're upset at yourself because you can't do what the fucking app's telling you. It just takes time to get better at it, and you see results pretty quickly, but it's like a cheat code in some ways. I mean, it's kind of you mentioned a lot of research being done. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
And if you mirror it onto a bigger scale, so let's say everything that happens through childhood, and you have negative experiences, and you never really gave it the permission or the allowance to accept whatever happened. So let's say you have someone that got constantly bullied, and then you have the dad telling him, hey, don't be a girl, don't cry, get over it. And there was nobody really you could go over it. So what is the most natural instinct? You keep stuffing it down. Mm-hmm. But the thing with our subconscious mind, it's so much stronger. It always wins. And it's going to be there, and you will carry it with you for the rest of your life if you don't start working on it, whether on your own, if you can manage it, or with a good friend talking about, I don't know, mindset coaches, hypnotherapy. I know Elliot Rowe also does it. And you bring up all the old stuff. I also work with Elliot because I also have my demons. And you then suddenly, when you start playing poker, you wonder why you freak out when someone is constantly 3-betting you and you feel pushed around, because then the old experience triggered, they're still here somewhere in your mind, they come up and you start punting around. Mm-hmm. And consciously, I know it's not good, but the problem is your subconscious mind is stronger than your conscious mind, and it wins. Mm-hmm. You're gonna still punting around. And unless you start working on it, meditating, taking a mentor, whatever, it will never disappear. It will be or let's say it will be incredibly tough.
Right.
Or you have someone that has been taught their entire childhood, you're not good enough, you're never going to achieve anything, then, gets a little bit overweight, wants to lose weight, wants to start working out, is doing it for a week or 2 weeks, and then falls back into old habits and cannot really lose weight. Well, of course, this person everyone knows, being overweight might not be healthy. Consciously, we know it's dangerous. Consciously, we know it's not good for our health, but we still cannot change it. Mm-hmm. So there is some energy in our body, like some draining energy that is holding us back. It's the subconscious, like all the negative emotion, experiences, tragedies, whatever it is there. And this kind of has a huge impact on our life.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, we're going on about it. And I think to some people who don't connect with this particular topic, they're like, all right, shut the fuck up, like, let's move on, sort of thing like that. But when people talk about how to get better at poker, I mean, this is the best way to me. This is if you are in better control of this, where you can access the study that you've done, and also when you get better at this, you also get better at studying, because when you study the learning process, you start to realize that you being present and mindful during all steps of the learning process is the way that you learn effective. So if you're wondering why you're not getting better through your study, it's oftentimes because you're not actually mindfully studying and focused in. So there's 5-6 steps to the learning process, and most people just say, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to do anything else. Well, that's why you don't see the results. So you need to actually take in information. You need to teach back the information. You want to have mentors and coaches. You want to apply the information. Then you want to deeply reflect on it. And then you want to form your new plan moving forward. So once you start to better understand the learning process, you can start to learn more things, and you can start to learn them more effectively. And a lot of that, it starts with being mindful, which is one of the biggest things I've learned in the past 6 months, is that if you want to learn effectively, you need to be present when you do it. So, but it can sound, I mean, this whole thing can sound crazy. And listen, you don't have to be doing these things, right? You're not a terrible person. You don't have to feel down about yourself. You don't need to feel unhappy about yourself if you're not able to get to this point. But if you're wondering what some of the top people in the field are thinking about and doing, well, this is how they think about things. So
if you want the crazy results, you need to do crazy things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough because a lot of people that you're around aren't necessarily this way, and it's hard to even talk about this type of topic in a way with people that are around you, because they just really don't want to hear about it, because they don't want to think about it. It sounds like such a daunting thing to even begin to conquer. But as you've said numerous times, there's more and more research coming out that backs this up. And if your goals are you want to achieve more in what you're doing, well, this is an easy way to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just something you can do. And as you can see, I'm spending a lot of time on it because I find it incredibly important. And I think Ben has a very high level of understanding of this particular topic, and is also able to articulate his thoughts in a way that is a little bit more clear for people to understand in the poker space specifically, compared to the other people out there that I've heard talk about this. So that's why I'm spending a little bit more time on this topic, if you're wondering why. Because other people in poker do these things, but they don't know how to articulate the thoughts as well. But because Ben's such an experienced coach, he knows how to express these things in a way that is a little bit easier to understand, but still can be something where you might not understand it out there. So if you are, and that's you, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But just know it's something to think about, and there's plenty of research opportunities out there for you to do. So that's what I like, man. I love that topic, though. That's one of the things I personally like to think about the most, Ben, is that, just how do we gain these mental advantages in our life, and how do we experience relationships on a little bit of a more deeper emotional level. And you mentioned something earlier, which was about you never necessarily felt happy before, and I resonate with that as well too, because that's how I used to feel about it until I started. Well, first when I tried drugs, then I was like, oh, that was happiness I've never felt before, because my mind has never really been that clear, and I've never felt quite that rush. And then I understood why people did drugs, because I was like, well, it escapes them from their world, and their world is their thoughts that they have. So if you can eliminate all those thoughts in your mind and focused on just having a good time, you're able to have a good time. So it makes sense why people get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
It's an easy escape, and it's an easy way to just not think about your problems. So it makes sense. So do you have any experience with that, Ben?
Drugs?
Yeah. That's something you've ever had any issue with? You ever tried, or is it something where you've kind of stayed away from those kind of things?
No, I usually try to stay away from these things. I mean, we tried when we were younger, but this is already a long time ago. But you can count it on one hand.
Yeah.
It's also never really hardcore stuff. So I understood very early on that drug addiction usually comes from a poor environment. It's people don't get addicted to the substance. Ultimately they get addicted to the substance, but it happens because of the environment they're in.
Yeah.
So when you're in an environment where you have meaningful relationships, you have a purpose, you're never going to get addicted to drugs.
Yeah. I mean, someone said, LOL, Joe, you need to stay downside of drugs. And listen, I would never recommend anyone try those type of drugs. Try like ecstasy or anything like that. I would never recommend to anybody, because
I haven't met any What do you say?
Go ahead. No, I would just say I would never. It's certainly not something where I'm saying that you should do because I don't recommend it to anyone. It's probably one of the worst decisions I ever made.
Yeah.
In retrospect, right? I was on a very good path, and uh, I certainly took another turn in my life, and I would never do it again in retrospect. But it is what it is. So you can't change that. But I'm not advocating anyone to do it. But at the same time, if you want to do it, it's just a different life. It's a different opportunity. It's a different experience. A lot of friends enjoy it, but as Ben said, environmental, meaning you're around people that do it. So if you're around others that do it on a consistent basis who make it sound like it's a glamorous thing, which is what happened to me, then you're going to maybe be influenced to try it. And that's what happened to me. It's like I was just around the people who I trusted, who said I should try it. And I was like, well, I'm at a good point in my life. Why not? And turns out probably shouldn't have done that. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So yes, people said they're on drugs right now in the chat. LSD's their favorite. Weed can help expand your mind if you meditate with it. No, I actually found that to be pretty true. So, but yeah, man, I think if you've never done it before, right, you might wonder what it's like, but you're not missing. I don't think you're missing anything.
All I can say is all the poker players I have met and also friends that I have seen when they're not taking weed, I have never met one single person where I would say it was helpful for their lives. In fact, they started slacking, they got lazier, less focus, just less caring in general. And you could clearly see that their performances started deteriorating. I know a lot of poker players who claim it helps them to stay calm, to not tilt. But if you have it to take a substance to stay calm and not tilt, then something must be wrong. If you're not having the ability to control yourself and not tilt, then there's something wrong. Like just because it helps you not tilting, yes, it will have for sure the short-term effect of you less caring, but this cannot be a sustainable solution.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, I know it's a solution for a lot of people out there, especially in America, because they're bombarded with constant distractions and constant stresses. And, it sounds easy in theory to say these things, but when you go, where I'm from, a lot of people are doing drugs and they're addicted to drugs. And it's a lot of it, as you said, it's an environmental thing because your family potentially is involved with it. And you meet so many people that are involved with it as well. And once you try it out and you start trying it out, it's incredibly easy to become addicted to the experience that you feel because it's something that you maybe never felt before. So yeah, it's, I imagine it's a little easier for people that are from Europe in terms of just how the communities are built and how structure and life is set up over there versus a lot of places in America where it's not quite the same. And especially there's a stigma in America where once you have success and once you make money, you could potentially live this rock star lifestyle. And the rock star lifestyle that's heavily promoted to you and marketed to you through music is this type of lifestyle where you're drinking, you're doing drugs, you're fucking girls, you're traveling, you're getting high, you're partying. So it's very easy to assume that because I had success on a monetary level or a career level, that the way that you celebrate this success is through these moments because that's what you're told is what people do. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way just because the people that you follow or aspire to be like are also doing that type of lifestyle too.
Absolutely.
So it's always something to think about. Dylan says, are these guys actually hating on weed? No, I definitely love weed personally, but would I recommend anyone else tries it? Not necessarily. So, but it's everyone has their own options, man. I love my pen. I love my vape pen. I love edibles. I love all those kind of things. They're very fun to study with. And they're very fun to study with. I don't know, but there's of course downsides, as you said, right? Performance suffers and you do more thinking sometimes than actual action, and it can become incredibly imbalanced where you're not doing what you want to be doing.
I think for certain reasons, like for healing reasons, like medicine and stuff, I know that marijuana can have some very good impact. Certain mushrooms, like I'm not an expert in that. I would not say this is all horrible because I'm not an expert in that, and I think there's some merits in using certain drugs. I also have heard that there's what's it called, ayahuasca? No, how's it called?
Ayahuasca, I believe you're talking about.
Yeah, can have some very mind expanding experiences, and I don't know. I've never tried it. So I'm always open to it, but like this long-term weed or drug consumption on a daily basis, where when it reaches a point that you have to take it for the sake of taking it, then it got out of control. If you
Right.
take it to enjoy it occasionally and you have it under control, whatever. Like if you can also if you can stop it for 3 weeks and you have no problem with that, then you have it under control. But if you say, yeah, I have it under control, but you can't stop for 3 weeks, then you're very likely addicted, right? So it's always a matter of perspective, and of course also the amount of drugs you're taking in.
Yeah.
It's the same with alcohol, or any kind of substance. But most people, unfortunately, have not the ability to control it. So the best way is just stay away from it in the first place, because we all think we're incredibly tough and we're gonna have it under control. We're simply not vulnerable enough to admit that we might not be strong enough. So like, yeah, we give it a try. Then you try it a second, a third time. You think you have it under control, and then it slips out of your control, and then GG, right? So that's just my point of
slippery slope for sure.
Very slippery slope, yeah.
Can be. Let me get some shout outs. Who we got in the chat, man? Let me see what we got out there. Let me sit down. I'm sitting on my leg. I'm getting old. I used to be able to sit like that and I wouldn't feel any pain, and now my body feels a little bit more pain when I sit like that. As you get older and you stop doing your body recover. Who we got in the chat here? Tony Meza, I'm a recreational drug user. All right, Tony, shout out to Tony. Jack Fleming, Shippity Dip, said he got second in LAPT under the influence of marijuana. Shout out to Shippity Dip. Who else we got? Saucy Mitts on Twitch. What's up, Saucy Mitts? What's happening? Squirrel Master, Richard, Brian Rasech. What's up, Brian Rasech? Okay, it's an intense one right there. Who else we got? Tiny Nigel, just got pawned. Claim 1234. All the comments are going to come in because we're on a little bit of a delay. So, Ben, you have some shout outs you want to give? You want to give a shout out to anybody out there?
Of course. To my girlfriend.
Shout out to your girlfriend that danced. She came in. She showed us a little dance. Shout out to her.
My amazing team from Raise Your Edge. Everyone is putting a lot of work. All the coaches in Discord that are they're not working for free, but they're providing a lot of content, feedback, basically mentoring our community for free. So if you're struggling in poker and you want to help, you can join for Discord. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to register for anything. You're not getting any emails sent. You just go in there, you ask your questions, we help you out. You have tournament coaches, cash game coaches, mixed game coaches, live cash game coaches. They answer your questions about strategies if you want to post hands. Lots of business talk in there, mindset talk, food, sport, workout, coach hours, whatever topic you're interested in. Everything, man.
Shout out to Fedor Holes, of course. Shout out to Fedor. Hashtag passion. Hashtag passion is a way of life. Hashtag eat, sleep, passion. Hashtag passioning it up. Hashtag all those kind of things. I like Fedor, man. You've been following Fedor's post as well. You see he's a man of passion now.
He's what? Sorry?
He's a man of passion.
What does it mean?
I don't know. He's following his passion.
I post a lot of content on social media.
You're not consuming a lot.
I'm trying not to be so consuming so much. I mean, I've seen that he's doing more clips and also going in that direction of giving a lot of advice, which is always great. So I love seeing it. But it's not that I'm following a lot of people.
Well, you'll know what I'm talking about. You follow Fedor. Technically, guys, I got to tell you, I'm directly responsible for what you're seeing with Fedor Holes, because the guy who's doing this, Jonah, was, you might remember, the one that I initially took out of law school and took him around the world with me and set him down this path of life that's leading him on this quite nice adventure. So the ideas that he's coming up with here are mainly from me that I used to come up with and talk about. So now he's just putting them with Fedor, and it turns out it's a very great strategy, because it's basically like a Gary Vee strategy where you choose your main topics, you double and triple down on the topics that you're putting out there, you continuously put the message out there, and you just say fuck everyone else who has negativity to say. And what happens is that you start to connect with the people who do care and listen and want to hear what you're saying, and then eventually you drown out the people who are uninterested and want to insult you or put you down. So his strategy is going to work very well, and they're going to get better at it, and they're going to have success. So,
that's a very good strategy for sure.
Yeah, they're Poppy Passion, of course, in the chat they say that. What can people look forward to coming up from you, man? Do you have any sort of anything that you want people to look out for in terms of content, or in terms of poker, or in terms of with the training site or anything like that?
Of course, lots of YouTube content. We're going to be releasing a new training software
Uh-oh.
in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
What's it going to be?
It's a software that makes you very much engaged with the content. So it's not video content. It's basically, you can choose preflop spots that you have to make quizzes about, that you will also get explanations about, postflop quizzes, video. So if you have a video, that video pauses and asks you questions and you have to answer and continue. And it builds a database and tracks the spots that you struggle in. Can be just, you can choose the spots. So you want to practice 30 big blinds middle position open raising. It only gives you 30 big blinds middle position questions. Can be multiple choice. You can choose what kind of question you like, what kind of format you like. Can be range questions. So it shows you, for example, 3 different ranges, and then you get three possibilities. Is it an under the gun +1, or middle position opening range? The same for versus 3, but I think so all different preflop scenarios in different kind of question formats, and it tracks your progress. At some point you see what spots you struggle in, or open raising and then reacting versus 3 bets, what kind of ranges you want to defend. Same for post flop. Hands that I've played, other coaches played, we put them to the test with a scoreboard, with a leaderboard system. You can compete with others. You can also use the software to break down hands, to analyze hands with together. It's some sort of mix of quiz function with social media. You have a feed of quizzes. You have a range trainer where you can also just practice preflop ranges. You can create your own range viewer. So we want to really focus a lot of stuff you need in one spot. So you don't have everything around. You can import ranges from Pi or somewhere else directly into the software. We're going to release some videos, some tutorials in the next couple of days. I will make some YouTube videos introducing people to the software. Also, not only I'm not a big fan of just seeing the results. So if you want to analyze a hand, or you use a poker trainer or whatever, and you test your abilities, that you see a result and then you move on. So we also deliver explanations. So why we want to do certain things, because it's very important to understand why we want to do certain things. Also, it comes with, as I said, with videos where we briefly explain a certain topic, and in this video you will have questions. So you can only continue. So you have to listen actively, you have to engage. Something what I discovered people like more to have this kind of more engaging content. And then also tracking your own results to identify what are the spots you really struggle with.
What is this going to be, a monthly, or is it going to be a one-time fee?
No, it's going to be a subscription-based model, monthly. We're going to have a free version where you can just play around, test some things, check it out if this is something for you. And then we're also going to have a paid version. Yeah.
Ben, you know what? We might need to do some business together, brother. I might need to get on the affiliate grind for this one. It sounds like a pretty good product over here, brother. You know, affiliate Poppy comes out to play once in a while, so he might need to come out to play for this. This sounds like a pretty cool resource right here.
Yeah, we're hardcore testing it at the moment to eradicate all the
bugs,
remaining bugs and pain points, but we're gonna adjust it along the way.
That's cool,
and
man.
Make it better.
Sounds like a great product.
I'm very excited about it. I showed it once to a friend of mine, and you just wanted to introduce him, and we started some quizzes. Man, we just got so lost in time. We're like, okay, one more. Let's see. We got to start. It can be quite tough. It can be quite challenging. So it can be quite addictive.
Oh yeah. Is this for tournaments only, or is this for cash?
Tournaments only. Yeah.
Tournaments only.
It can be applied for everything as well. Like it can be applied for cash game, but we start focusing on tournament, and then see where it goes.
That's cool. I'm excited for that, man. I actually wanted to ask you, speaking of the affiliate stuff. So I know something. I don't know specifics about what happened with you in Upswing, but I have talked with Doug a little bit about that. So what was the deal with you guys in Upswing? Was it the masterclass name specifically, or what exactly took place there, man?
Dangerous topic.
I know.
Let's put it this way.
That you can talk about, because I understand what's I don't know the state it's in. I haven't really caught up to date in terms of what's happening now, but it's something I briefly talked with Doug about.
Listen, I approach these kind of things in public that I wouldn't appreciate others talking. Like, let's say if Doug would be here, I wouldn't mind talking about it. Mm-hmm. I have my story, which is very subjective. He has a story that is very subjective. And I just don't want to talk about it when he doesn't have the opportunity to respond to it. And then
Right.
it's just going to be, he's responding on Twitter something, I'm going to be responding. It's going to be taken out of the context.
Mm-hmm.
Clips are being made. I don't think he would appreciate that. I wouldn't appreciate that. If he would be talking on stream or in a podcast about what happened, it's just not the way I'm dealing with that. If he wants to talk about it, I think it's just a thing between him and me.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to have a chat about it, I think he got over it. I got over it. It's like 2 or 3 years ago. We have other stuff to focus on, and it would just create a lot of unnecessary noise.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of, he's moving on from poker. He's getting some new ideas, brainstorming some new stuff. I know this was something that took place a few years back. Like I said, I wasn't really following what like the business specifically was doing at the time, so I didn't really ask any questions. I just was like, something happened, whatever. It's just like kind of with the stuff with Jay Nandez, I don't really keep up with what's happening, and a lot of it's legality related, and those things take a lot of time, and a lot of the information is going to be private in terms of revealing publicly. So, but I didn't know if there was some sort of thing you guys came to, or if you guys came to understanding, or if you guys figured something out. So I wasn't sure exactly where things stood. And I know we've had the question come up in chat a little bit too, so I was curious about that as well. So,
yeah, sure, I understand.
I know that Upswing, they're a competitor now, but there's a lot of competitors out there in terms of who's putting up content, and everyone's got a training course, everyone's got a site, everyone has a subscription, everyone has a product now, it seems like. So, it's kind of just, it seems like that's the way poker's going to go, is that, people need to find a way to make money, and if they're making less money at the table, or if they want to build something else for the future where they don't have to rely on making money specifically from poker, they're going to offer training products. And I'm sure people are going to take elements of one course and apply it to their own, and they're going to take ideas and apply it to their own too. And that's just a part of that whole entire process, it seems like, is dealing with that issue. And I imagine it's not fun to deal with, though. So it's got to be stressful to think about if you apply an idea, or if you come up with an idea that then someone else might choose to directly or indirectly or inadvertently or purposely sort of take elements or ideas from what you're doing. So yeah, I'm sure that's a challenge that you'd face, and something you have to think about. Just like if you put up a great product like what you're describing, well, most likely someone else is going to decide, hey, why don't we do something like that too?
Of course, I mean, change always happens. I remember back then with PokerStars abandoning the Supernova Elite. For me, a world fell apart. Like, it was so hard for me. Like, it was my life, grinding sit and goes. And as a sit and go grinder, you really much rely on rakeback. And data has been proven, if they cut the rakeback in half for the following year, it's very hard to beat those games. And then especially the year after, it's even less. I think they went from 80% to 35%, then the year after, like 15%. So I knew something has to change, right? But I switched to tournaments, and without that change, without that PokerStars drastically reducing the rakeback, Raise Your Edge would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, someday maybe the market might be saturated, and we're not able to afford offering content and make video poker courses. Something else will come up.
Right.
Maybe poker will be entirely illegal in the entire world. Like, you never know, right?
Hope not.
Yeah, of course not. But
hope not.
And it's the same as in poker, man. Like, change will happen. Be ready for new things, and don't be so attached to what you're doing right now. It can change tomorrow. It can change in 5 years. Poker might have another boom in 5 years. I don't rely on that. I try to focus on what I can do right now, and then see what happens.
How many times did you get Supernova Elite?
I think 4 times.
4 times, and sit and goes only.
When was the Black Friday on Full Tilt? Because I used to play on Full Tilt before. I only switched
2011.
2011. So then 2013 was the first time I made Supernova Elite.
Okay, 2013. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I got it in 2010 and 2011, and then I stopped 24 tabling. So that was one of the best ideas I've ever decided. You know what I mean? So it's a blessing in disguise, right? It's how you make it. So they cut Supernova Elite program. As you said, you started playing tournaments, and a whole another life form for you. So
yeah.
whatever you think is the worst case scenario, you can make it a great scenario. So just because something does come up and adversity happens doesn't mean that you can't shift your course of action and overcome that. So I definitely agree with that. People want to know what the CB is when he used to be a model on Chatterbait. Marco says, interesting. I didn't know you were a Chatterbait model, Ben.
What?
He's joking. What's the CB stand for?
I don't even know what.
Okay, sure.
Shadowbait is.
I don't know what it is either. Don't worry. I've never heard of it either. What does the CB stand for? You don't need to know the answer. It's fine. Don't worry about what it's.
No.
It's fine.
My hometown. It's like, you have these abbreviations on the car. CB stands for Cottbus. It's my hometown.
Sure. You sure it's not Chatterbait?
No.
Ben, have you ever been a model on a website? A webcam model?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's a popular thing these days. It's growing. I mean, I don't know. We might have some Chatterbait models in the chat right here, man. I don't know. People are laughing. Thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I'm glad. Thank you. What? You just call me weird? My girlfriend's triggered now. Okay. I'm talking about webcam modeling. Okay.
I didn't expect this kind of question, but yeah.
Listen, I got out of line questions for days if we want to go down that route. Trust me, man. I mean, I'm good at switching gears, right? We can go a little deeper mindset. We can go more strategy. We can go out of line. We could go really out of line. I could be sarcastic and you don't know I'm being out of line. So it's like I sort of just adjust to, once I'm really in rhythm and I'm doing a lot of podcasts, that's when I can really drop the subtle sarcasm and subtle questions that the hardcore people know that I'm fucking trolling, but no one else knows I'm trolling. So you have to, we used to talk about chess. You a big chess player, Ben?
Just recreationally.
Recreational chess player? Yeah, I've been a recreational chess player pretty much all my life. I've always loved chess, and it's something that, it's a distracting process, like playing, you know what I mean? But so basically what I'm saying is it's like an inside joke we have on the podcast related to chess. So it's not the game of chess. It's more of the game of dating women, right? Or anything like that. So, but we found out that from Jen Shahade, she was on the podcast, one of my first guests I had on, maybe in the first year or two. She talked about how a man and a woman, allegedly, back in the 1800s, used to say they were playing chess as a way to spend time together because they wanted to not let people know what was happening. And then over time, people would say, oh, we're playing chess together as a way to say that we're spending time together, or they're dating, or they're hanging out, or whatever. So then this turned into a regular question I would ask people, where I'd say, oh, have you spend a lot of time playing chess? And then I remember Doug one time, he's like, oh yeah, I played chess with my uncle a lot. I'm like, oh, your uncle, interesting, okay. So, but Doug doesn't understand what's happening at the time. Now he does, because he understands that I'm very sarcastic when I talk with him. But in the chat, they're freaking out, they get excited. It's like it's like a fun little, it's the dinging noises, my chips, guys. I'm practicing my chips in my hands, so.
You asked me what is coming up. We might produce more of these.
Oh, what do we got? What's that?
Poker chips.
Okay. Are you going to make your own set?
Yeah, I think we have two cases, and I was showing them on Instagram, and people got so fired up, like, where can I order these? And I got all these messages, and now, we want to try to set up a shop, just offering a few, see how it goes, and quality-wise, they're insane. I really love them.
Where'd you get them made? Yeah. Do you know a company that made them, or did you find someone?
In China, yeah. You can make them in China.
Well, that's cool. That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people. I've been thinking about doing some more ideas like that with products, and because you think about what the products are in poker for a game of poker, well, why do you have to buy those products from Copeg or from whatever? So I'm thinking about partnering up with some companies and maybe creating more products like that. And I think anyone can do that, right? I mean, I feel like the process that people are using in poker to make money from their brand or from their business is very early on in stages right now. And I think the whole entire influencer brand marketing, business, whatever, it's in a very early stages, because a lot of us have no idea what the fuck we're doing. So as time goes on and as more people try new things, we didn't see this sort of course model really until Doug tried it with Upswing, because people thought the training industry was dead. So get this, guys. If you're in poker right now and you weren't around, people thought that once Run It Once started, that poker training was dead. It was a done business. There's no money in it. And then Doug came along and started Upswing Poker, and then popularized the whole entire lab style and then the course style, which wasn't as popular previously. And now we've seen a ton of people get into the space, and it's a very booming space. So I imagine there's a lot of pockets in poker that we see as these models that don't make sense business wise, but actually with the right strategy could actually do really well. So
Yeah.
I imagine we'll see more ideas like that over time, where someone will take a chance and try things. But right now, it seems like most people are replicating, the course model, and we're seeing a lot more of that. And now we're starting to see the more products like the DTO and the I mean, there's all these products that kind of do these things. And it sounds like what you're coming up with is sort of an alteration in a way on, it's like a merge of those kind of styles where you're getting, it's more of an interactive experience. You're getting more feedback and more information. And it sounds like a really great learning tool. So I'm excited to check it out.
It's called Paired, by the way.
What's it called?
Paired.
Paired?
Double R.
Parred.
Pairr, like a pair.
Oh, okay, like a pair. Okay, so it plays off the raise your edge with the R.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That makes, so it'll be like paired by raise your edge or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't come up with a
so
slow
fucking
more.
weird. I swear to, these people are so fucking weird in the chat. Ben, why would you go to a chat and you're like that they're talking? Like, are you a fucking idiot? Why would you ever spend your time in a fucking chat if you don't want to hear people talk? If you want to hear someone else talk, there's millions of content out there. Go get out of the chat. What do you?
Maybe he wants to meditate with us. Maybe we should just be silent. He learned from what we taught earlier.
What do you want to do? You want to do 25 seconds of meditation, deep breathing right here? We just breathe in, focus on our minds and our thoughts, or what? We can do that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, paired. So it's called paired by Razor Edge. How much is it going to be a month, Ben? What's our price point we're thinking?
We're gonna, the first months are going to be heavily discounted because we're still implementing content, and there's already a lot of content in there. Don't get me wrong. The price range is going to be somewhere between 30 and 50 euros a month, because it also comes with video content.
Nice.
And with the longer you stay, the more access you have to video content, and of course quiz content, and so we were trying to build it up. I love this project. But here's again, like, I had so many projects I loved. At the end, it must solve a need. It must solve people's problems, and no matter how much we love it, no matter how much we think it's going to have an impact on the content market, at the end the student decides. And if we can make improvements based on their feedback or not, that's all what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So again, yes, we might have found our passion, we might have found our love, what we want to do next, but it only works if our love, our passion solves a need.
That makes sense. I mean, I feel like Razor Edge is on a really good path, and it'll go as far as you want it to go in some ways, and as far as you want to stay focused on it. And it sounds like you're building all the right pillars in terms of a business to have it be something where you could either sustain success in poker, or potentially you could, as I saw you doing a lot of that. You mentioned esports earlier, and I saw that you were doing more collaborative content with esports gamers specifically, and I think that can only be a good thing, even though people in poker might not know as much about these guys, but their actual fans that are outside of poker might find out about poker through them. And that might be a cool way to sort of teach people about the game who also have influence in other spaces with different audiences, and maybe that will spread out there, and then more people become interested in it too.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, all we can do is just focusing on what we have in our control. And I realized, okay, we need to do something in poker, and the most important thing in poker is to bring new players. So that's why we saw an opportunity in esports, and making this collaboration with gamers, in showing them, introducing them into poker and teaching them, so we might get a bigger audience. So we help make the poker economy or the poker market more sustainable by new players entering the market. So that's all I can do. Like, of course, I could also dwell and complain about how bad the situation might be. But I mean, now some people might say, but there's nothing I can do. Yes, there's always something you can do. If I see, for example, we did the stream, and then people joined the chat, being all toxic. What is this guy? He has no clue what he does. He just started, Like, you can always be supportive when someone asks something. Be nice, introduce them into poker, show them how great our community is. This adds up. Like, then he stays. If I join a chat, and I have a noob question about something about a game, and then people are like, what the fuck, are you an idiot? Like, how can you not know? I'm done. Like, I will go to the next game. So yes, you can actually make a difference the way you treat new players,
Right.
whether it's in a YouTube chat, whether it's in a Twitch chat. And this sometimes actually makes me a little bit angry, because these are the people that are complaining that poker is not beatable anymore, but they treat new players and potential fans like shit. And this has never been talked about. So it's all about you, me, Doug Polk, and all the others that might have a voice in the poker industry, that we need to do something about it. No, it's everyone has to do something about it. You have an opportunity to make a positive impact in poker.
100% true, man. That's a very good point. And I think the toxicity, first of all, on the forums and in the chats is out of control. And you need, as the creator, to moderate that. Which is why in my chat, if somebody says something like that, we ban them. It's Kim Jong-jo.
Yeah.
It's like North Korea in here, right? We're not praising North Korea, but I feel like that's an online joke to make still, but it is what it is. So, we run our chat pretty strict around here, right? If you're going to insult the guests, if you're going to insult people around here, you're going to get banned from the chat. But you don't necessarily see that type of same energy in other chats, and then the toxicity builds up. Like Live at the Bike, for instance, they're constantly insulting the players, they're insulting the play, they're insulting the way that people look, and all this kind of stuff like that. And I mean, it's not a pleasurable experience for the viewer or for the fucking person playing. I mean, I just can't understand why you'd want to build that sort of community environment around this massive toxicity. And as you said, is a huge problem in that you have these new players and recreational players who choose to play on stream, and then they make a bad play, and everyone's like, this guy's the worst piece of shit they've ever seen. And then they wonder why these people don't want to play in the future. It's like, well, they probably don't want to be like ridiculed for the way that they look or the way that they play or anything like that. And you're very correct. And these are the same people that complain about, why aren't there more people playing poker? And it's because the attitude that people take towards newer players. But then again, when I look at other communities like Fortnite, they're not much nicer, okay? Like it's not like they're a lot nicer to people in other communities. But if you look at the up and coming communities like martial arts or anything to do with health and fitness, they're very accepting of these beginners and they want to teach them. Yeah. And in poker, it's, you're a fucking idiot. Why would you ever make that play? It does. So doesn't make sense why it has to be that way. And you're very correct. The people with the loudest voices have to lead the way and set the stage for that. And, that hasn't always been the case. So I think that's a really good point. Maybe that's like something that a big takeaway that we can have is try to spread that message from today and say, hey, why don't we try to change the way that we're speaking about these new players and these weak plays and recreational plays. But I understand it's an uphill battle as well too.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be tough, man. Shout out to my man Jamin in the chat. Jamin's nominated for a poker award, I think, right? Jamin's nominated for Vlogger of the Year, I believe. I'm nominated for People's Choice Award, Journalist, Media Content, and Podcast of the Year. So big shout out to me. It's gonna be going on next March, I believe. What's the date for that, babe? March 6th? March 6th, we're going to figure out who wins that award. So you guys can stay tuned for that. Ben, any parting thoughts you want to leave? Maybe give the people one piece of poker advice, something that they can take away today that they can maybe implement into their mind, thought process when they get out there today.
Patience.
Expand a little bit for the people.
Just be patient with the entire process. Don't try to fix your problems with poker. I've lately received a lot of messages from people who have hit rock bottom, who really struggle in life, and then they ask me, hey, how can I get into poker? How can I build a bankroll? And I have to say, hey, listen, you're not going to make it in poker when you try to pay your bill, your food with poker. You need to have this certain stability in your life in order to have the capacities and the mental space to just play poker, not be affected by the money, see it as video coins. And when you really want to make it in poker, you have to have everything else in place. It's not like 10 years ago, and this is the problem we have in these days, that people see these old videos, you just know a little bit about the roots, you know a little bit about the strategies, and you just run over your this time is over. Poker has been gotten extremely competitive. So it's a very holistic approach of being in good shape, being mentally fit, having good relationships. So you have some sort of safety net that in case you have a hard downswing that can catch you and you can easily get up again and you're not falling into a black hole, into oblivion, and yeah, ending up in depression and maybe in darker places, gambling addictions, taking drugs. So have that in place and then start poker. Once you have that in place, be patient, man. Just just give it some time. Don't be so attached to the results. Every single time you play a hand, you see it as a system, and mirror this system into your poker life as well. So focus on the things that are in your control. Work out, study on a regular basis. When we were at the MIT, I told them don't set goals, because it's about, yes, you set some more like challenges and you build a system around it. So my system, for example, is meditate every day, study 3-4 times a week, work out 3 times a week, eat healthy on 6 days a week, and then I let life happen for me. I don't care what the result is. I'm just trying to increase the odds of my outcome. That's it. That's all we can do. I'm not so attached to the outcome. That's exactly the way we tackle poker. That's exactly the same way we tackle playing a hand. We're not, oh, I want to make 75 big blinds. No, people are too much attached to the outcome. They're already setting goals for the outcome. I want to make 50,000 next year. I want to lose 30 kilos. No, just focus on the things, because on these outcomes, it's not in your control. There's too much variance. It's like a dream. It's okay to have dreams. It's like a wish. I don't say have big dreams. I also have big dreams in my life. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But these aren't my goals. My goals are much more short term on a daily basis, which leads to a system. So ultimately, don't set goals, build a system. And then whatever comes out of the system, be surprised. But don't be, because even if you have the best system in the world, you can still get shitty results. You can play aces in the best possible way and you still lose your entire stack.
Amen. So, I love it.
Apply this approach of poker, of setting goals, of approaching a hand the same way into your life.
I think that's actually implementable. Basically what Ben might be saying, an easier way to put it. So you have that version, which I think is a very expanded version. Essentially look at the things that you do on a daily basis and figure out how you can establish better fundamentals for your life. Therefore, you give yourself the best chance to succeed, whether that's with your health, the relationships, whatever it is, study, right? It's not too complicated. So work at what you're doing, try to be active, try to be healthy, try to have good relationships in your life, and try to have good habits. And when you have that system in place, typically pretty good results are going to come from it. So that's, which might sound like a daunting task to people out there, but you can start it right now, right? You go have something healthy. You go get to the gym right now. You open up a book. You watch a video. You go to a training course, whatever it is, right? And you can understand that process. You get better at that over time, but it really isn't very complicated to do. So I like it, man. I like it a lot. If you guys want to see Ben, you can check out his YouTube channel at Raise Your Edge. He's also on Instagram, Raise Your Edge, and BenCB as well, too. I'm going to be back next week. We got new content coming out. Podcast for sure with Brad Owen next Friday. First time I have him on one of the biggest YouTube channels around right now. And we might have Phil Galfond and BenCB on next week. If we talk to those guys, I can't wait. I don't know. BenCB, I don't know what he's going to say, so we'll see. He sent me a text back, so we're going to find out. So that's it. Ben, I appreciate you very much for coming on, man. It was great chatting with you. Great to learn more about where you're coming from. And I think we're going to work together in the future because, I think it'll be a great thing for poker and a great thing for both of us as well, too. So I look forward to talking with you again, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, man. Guys in the chat, you guys are awesome. All the comments on YouTube, all the comments on Twitch. You guys are great. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Hope you guys learned something from the podcast. A lot of really good stuff in here that Ben talked about, things that you can apply to your life and your poker game immediately, and you're going to notice more results, and then you're going to come back on Twitter or on YouTube, and you're going to say, fuck, that really impacted me for the better. Thank you very much for hearing it. I appreciate that this was in my life, and that's what's going to happen. So, guys, peace out. Much love. Take care. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. That's all we got.